Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
A new generation of car, a new generation of star. That's what we've got in operation for us here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to 2025 Bathurst week and the big start at the top of end of everything. Last year, we kicked off the first ever co-driver clash. What was the main prize? It was a ticket into the main series. Ryan Wood won on this occasion last year, elected not to take up the ticket to race in the 2025 season. In the first season of Gen 3, who is going to put their name forward into lights and potentially be a main game driver for next year? Ladies and gentlemen, Scotty ranking off alongside of Zach Caban. Unfortunately, the voice of my usual compatriot in the commentary box, Stephen Clark, is a little under the weather, but the good news is we're preparing him for the weekend, and for that we've got Zach here to deputise for me here tonight. Zach, big opportunity for the co-drivers here tonight, and well,
that's exactly right, Scotty. Good evening to you. Good evening, everybody. Big opportunity for them. I was going to say big opportunity potentially for me as well, but I'm not going to put Sandman out of a job. This is the start of an enormous week, and it's bigger this year than it was last year, mate, because obviously you and I are back on Friday night for the GT Pro Invitational season finale. From this very venue as well. Saturday night, you've got obviously the top 15 shootout and also some Porsche support racing. Sunday all day, make a date with the lounge, ladies and gentlemen, and join us. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you mentioned all the key ingredients of this week, Scott, with regards to the fact that it is starting with the co-driver clash, the second installment thereof, the fact that history awaits us this weekend. And it's the first Gen 3000 and all that sort of stuff. Also, potentially, we could see some rain in the forecast. We'll get to that shortly. But also, in amongst all of that, the wait for this one has been longer than year on year in previous, because this was a September outing last year. We've had to wait all the way till November this year. So there's a bit more of the itchy feet going on around the paddock, I get the feeling. And we're looking forward to seeing what might unfold over the next couple of hours in the co-driver clash. A great opportunity for the main game drivers to just sit back, crack over the cold and enjoy themselves, no doubt. No doubt there's also a couple of these guys watching on with eager interest to see who's still going to be available for co-driver recruitment next year as well, because if you book a ticket to the main game and you accept that invitation, all of a sudden that's going to split up a current driver pairing. So there's a lot to play for tonight, but the good thing about it, from my standpoint, no championship implications. It's a one-off affair. Therefore, gloves are off and we should be in for a magnificent spectacle.
Yeah, that's it. Here's the opportunity. Well, the track map's going to show us exactly where we're off to, but if anyone sitting around at home doesn't know Bathurst, I would be very, very much surprised. But then again, the international viewers from the audience, this is our Mecca. This is what everyone wants to journey off towards. This is where everyone wants to win the big dance from. It is Wednesday night on our Bathurst week. Prepare to see this one at least 4 more times throughout the week. Such is the amount of events that we've got prepared for you. Co-driver clash kicks it off here tonight. Like we said, 32 laps is going to be the racing distance of 6.2 kilometers, 23 turns in the anti-clockwise direction. And there is history, Caben, to every single corner of this place.
Yep. Yeah, indeed. We know it by the fact that it's 6.213 kilometres since 1987. We know it's 23 turns, but we don't refer to it in corner numbers, very rarely anyway. No. We refer to it by the signature names that are attached to the different parts of bitumen and real estate in and around this magnificent part of the world. I was very lucky to call Bathurst home for 9 years, Scotty. Loved my time down in the central western New South Wales. I didn't attempt to walk this too many times because I couldn't afford to call the ambo and get the defibrillator up to the top all that often. But the reality of the matter is every corner brings with it an opportunity, not necessarily for overtaking, but for error. And because of the fact that everybody wants to be in P number 1 at the end of 32 laps tonight, you can guarantee they're going to leave nothing on the table. So expect 110% commitment tonight, and that brings with it the increased opportunity for error and also, of course, the presence of the Logitech safety car as well. So, no, it's a magnificent part of the world. We're very lucky that it's in our own backyard. It's known, it's revered right around the world. It's up there. If it's not the best motor racing circuit in the world, and I don't want to say that as a point of bias, it's very close.
It's going to be a big one, I think, here tonight. And I think one of the bigger aspects that we're going to touch on is, well, there's not 1,000 kilometers to go at the end of this one. There's 200 total, just a lick under 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
And guess what? P2 earns you just about nothing. So you've got 2 ways to treat this. Yeah. You can treat it as a fun race, as a tidy up, or you can treat it as full send mode. And the reason I say this, that golden ticket, that is the only prize that's on offer. A bit of glory for yourself here tonight. That's it. That's the only other one that's actually available for the drivers here tonight. What does that mean? They don't have to look after a championship. Do you know how freeing that is to a driver, Caben?
Well, I wouldn't.
It just frees the mind. The lobs, the sends. All of a sudden, you don't have to protect your race car. You don't have to protect the points at the end of the night.
Well, that's exactly right. We'll talk about championship, obviously, on Saturday and Sunday. We know that Jared Filsell goes in with match point at 1.5 probably this weekend. He's that up the road. But again, there's 400 points on the table this coming Sunday. Tonight, you're right. There's 2 things here, and I was speaking to you and Jay and Brenton about this before we got underway. It's a case of you can either book your ticket to next March tonight, or there's going to be a little bit of deflation going on from all and sundry, knowing full well that at the end of January, you're going to have to muster up the motivation to go around in the qualifying series if you miss out tonight. So there's pros and cons to the whole thing. yes, it's great that we can go into a full send mode and it's a one-off back to the good old days of Bathurst when it wasn't a championship affair. Think of it like that. But at the same time, yeah, there will be a lot of people leaving with their tail dangling between their legs tonight. They'll have to think about it right through till February in the qualifying series. Then, obviously, they've also got to turn around and get over the disappointment of tonight. Anyone that doesn't finish P1 and get ready to lick the stamp and send it again on Saturday in qualifying, and then, of course, on Sundays at 1,000 as well. There's a good mate of the team from Logitech himself, Dan Hall, for the ERT stable on screen at the moment as we pick up the last minute and a half of practice now, Scott.
Yeah, what a livery too as well. That one, or a very similar example of it popping out on Tommy Randall's car from Sandown as well, which was so awesome to see. But yeah, think about the guys up and down the field. Really, really interesting as well. Just been keeping an eye on when Ryan O'Sullivan did that. It was about right in the middle of the session, you know, so that means temperature's really not been a major factor. 34 degrees Celsius track temperature out there at the moment. Minute before we get into our qualifying session. Over 2 minutes on the lap means that there will be one group only for qualifying here tonight. There'll be no separation on that one. We'll get into the gridding phase. There, around goes the rear end of that car, and that will bring that lap to a very end. In terms of the race, though, there is going to be the requirement for a pit stop at the very end, at least for fuel. Somewhere about 8 to 10 laps from home, you will need to stop for fuel.
So there will be, obviously, if it's 10 laps towards the end there, Scotty, that also gives you a little bit of leverage. If we get a safety car, 10 from 32 is 22. So maybe give it, if it's 22 and 10, lap 12, lap 10 could even be your critical number in this race. If we get an early safety car, strategy could well and truly go out the window. So there's that element of it to have a look at as well. If you're in the race and we go green for an extended period of time, you probably don't want to stray too far off the strategy of everybody else around you. Overcuts, undercuts will come into play. But if we do get an early safety car, yes, all of a sudden that critical lap becomes important. It also becomes important if you sustain minimal damage in an incident or a collision or maybe scrape a wall at the top of the mountain. It's notorious for cars scraping the wall, particularly in the direction of the Great or on the run up towards McPhillamy Park. So keep an ear out for that. Keep an eye out for that. Lap 10, we think, would be the critical number if we're talking lap 22 being the furthest you can run on what is a slightly trimmed tank tonight, Scotty. It's not the usual full tank. It's about 91% according to the supplementary regulations. There's Bradley Rattu on the circuit. There's a bloke that's due a result for Orbit Drop Air Mars as qualifying gets underway. Yeah,
and worthwhile pointing out as well, that 91% fuel tank, that is the equivalent of about 12 litres taken out, which is exactly how much supercars put into the tanks in the real world. In terms of, what were they? They were styrofoam balls, effectively, to take tank capacity away for the endurance events. So effectively attempting to mirror what's going on in the real world in Championship 2025. Right, across to qualifying. And, well, we were talking about track temps a little bit earlier being mid-30s. Big news. Track temp for qualifying, 53 degrees centigrade. Sim time at the moment, right in the middle of the day. It is 12:30 p.m. It is cooking out there, and the tyres are going to be shot before you get across the top of the mountain, Zach.
Should be pointing out too as well, that's 12:30 local server time, which is Eastern Daylight Time. I had to get that quip in early. Already some jockeying for position happening across the top of the mountain. I owed him that, ladies and gentlemen. He made a mention about that during the Phillip Island 500 about 6 weeks ago. But yeah, it's going to be a case of, I'm interested to see how they play this game in terms of the traffic here, Scott, because of what you just mentioned with the tyre temperature. It's going to be a case of get in and try and get your lap down first time through. Otherwise, you've got to reset, go through the cycle again, come in, grab another set of tyres and try and get back out there and find clear air. Because the longer you stay out there and the hotter the track, I dare say there's probably a tyre degradation or deterioration element that will come into play. So you're right. Track's very hot, very sticky.
Oh boy.
Get in, set your marker, get to pit lane.
Can we have a look at the pack right now? I'll have a look at that card of dicing. There were 3 wide. There are going to be 3 wide here in a second again. Kostecki is just going to punch on with this one. He's going to go out on his own. So that was Brody Kostecki. I was interested just to see where it was. This is going to be a mess to start this lap. This is lap 1 of 20 minutes worth of qualifying. And, well, make a move and make it now because you need to get that one on and out of the way. Last year, Brody Kostecki picked up a penalty in qualifying in the dying stages of the session, by the way, that meant he had to start from pit lane and the rear of the grid. What happened, what unfolded was effectively the mental game losing itself across the course of the night, coming unraveled. He didn't race in Championship Sunday, and Jared Filsell was probably a little bit lacking in the co-driver department as he had to recall a replacement, Thomas McMillan, at the last minute. Could we see that happen again in 2025 for Brad Ratu? That moment right there out of the cutting is a perfect example of what the track temp's going to do to those tyres.
Yep. Whoa, and he's flirting with the wall at the top of the hill as well. On the limit. He knows the importance of getting in now and banking a lap, but it's shades of Peter Brock in 1991, Scotty, the way in which he's throwing that thing around at the moment. He just didn't have the loser McPhillamy. Down through the S's on the run towards the dipper and the elbow. He's got clear air, but he's going to set the benchmark here, and then it's going to be up to everybody else to try and match or improve on that. And you mentioned Brody Kostecki there a moment ago. I mean, those guys are 2 from 2 so far in the Enduros. We've got a car on the tow rope already on pit lane. The Mackay entry on pit road already. Can you believe that? That's wretched luck for those guys that early in qualifying, and that just makes a rod for their back for the rest of the evening. It's going to be a long 32 laps from the back of the grid as Bradley Ratu enters chase for the first time.
Well, it's important to note as well, that will be qualifying over for car 543 with Scott Mackay. The tow rope for that one, that is session done. He will have to come from the rear end of the field, which is not where he wanted to start his Bath this week. Look, we've already mentioned you can win yourself a golden ticket, but think about the guys that are going to end up on the other end of the scale. If you have a bad co-driver clash, you might just get the nerves come Sunday, and that may lead you in to start on the wrong foot. We're going to replay. Ratu sets the first lap. That one comes in 207.217. Here we go. And it was an engine blow, downshift on the way in, so that means that one was going to take no further part in qualifying no matter what, and teammate Dan Moore got into him.
And that was a talking point during the recent Sandown 500 as well, boys, wasn't it? So we saw a couple of mechanical failures. We saw a bit of carnage, a little bit of slip and slide, a little bit of slip and Sandown had a little bit of everything. And unfortunately, that downshift issue rears its ugly head again on night 1 of Bathurst week. So those are the little 1%ers that are going to make all the difference on Sunday, aren't they?
Yep, that they are, and that is Dan Hall diving out of the queue. This is Tom Freer. He's good enough to probably be in the series on his own rights. What's he got for us in terms of first flying lap? 11.2, that's a fair way off. Ryan O'Sullivan's done a 206.872. Remember, track is absolutely cooking. So what we'll see from qualifying here is going to be absolutely not representative when we get across the race day. But then again, this could be the period of the day on Sunday when the co-drivers will be doing the bulk of their work. So this could be conditions that they're expecting to see, albeit if the heavens open on Sunday, that will change things entirely.
Indeed. Cody Bircher, great to see as well, Scotty. We say it every year, so many drivers from the real world coming and having a run in the pinnacle event of the Australian Sim Racing calendar, the Australian Sim Racing Group, Logitech G Pro, True Force Enduro Cup, Bathurst 1000. Did I get all of the sponsor plugs in? I hope so. Got to pay the bills early in the week, folks. 13 and a half minutes gone in, 13 and a half minutes to go in qualifying here. And Cody Bircher, another name that you'd associate with real world exploits. It'll be interesting to see if he and the ERT stable can have a strong showing here at Mount Panorama in the virtual world on Sunday afternoon, and he's got a huge opportunity tonight to throw his hat into the ring for a starting position on the main grid for the 12 rounds next year. Either that, Scott, or there'll be enough fuel in the fire. The drug that this is will take hold of him and reel him in and say, come and have a run in February and try and get your golden ticket that way. And we know also, we talk about the first golden ticket being handed out here tonight. It's not lost on anybody as well. There are some drivers that are sitting pretty as far as the mathematics are concerned. but they can't sign off on that until we get to the final round of the championship in early December. So there are a couple that have probably already got their hands on a ticket, but it's not a formality just yet, whereas tonight's is definitely signed, sealed and delivered here and now.
Yeah, most of the drivers in pit lane at this point in time as well. So first qualifying lap's done. They're back into the lane to try and get a fresh set of boots on, have another stab. That's their qualifying times. Have a look at the timing up on the screen as well. 12 minutes and 20 seconds is when the drivers are back into pit lane for their first set of tyres to get back out again. They're only going to get 2 runs in this qualifying session. That's cost them 8 minutes. They might get around to start a third lap, but it will be touch and go on that third lap. And the main reason for it is that track temperature. It's just spiked above 54 degrees Celsius. What's Bircher got for us as he gets to the elbow and turns, points and shoot? He'll be co-drivering with Matthew Bowler on Sunday. And again, that's confirmation of everything coming our way in terms of the weather.
Yeah. Still 54 degrees now, Scotty, so it's actually increased.
Yeah, so on the way up. Northwesterly winds coming from the northwest, so 13 kilometres an hour it was, probably in the middle point of that lap for Cody Bircher. Means the wind is effectively coming from Hell Corner and heading towards the elbow, to give you guys a little bit of an estimation of where that one's going. Right, for Bircher to the final corner, out the other side. It won't be a 6. Looks like it's into the 8s across the 2-minute lap time. That's good enough for 17th. And I can tell you, of everyone we've got out there tonight, about 30 of them that will be turning qualifying laps from the co-driver clash. Not everyone turning up to have a go at this one. So others are taking a little bit of a backward step. Remember, busy week as well, which means fatigue creeps in. You're doing big laps across the course of the week. Co-driver clash tonight. GT Pro on Friday, Porsche Cup and Shootout on Saturday, and the big dance on Sunday. Sometimes it's 200 less kilometres you have to do in terms of race trip. The other option is it's an opportunity to hide just what your pace looks like for your co-driver as well.
100%. As I said in the opener, it's probably the most relaxing night of the week. There'll be a slight degree of nerves and anxiety going on in the minds of the co-drivers at the moment, but this is the most relaxing part of their week, I'm sure, from a driving standpoint, because they get to actually hand the reins over, and it doesn't matter what happens out there, because they'll hit the automatic reset button on Saturday night and go again, right? It's not as though there's going to be repair works happening at the nearby TAFE between now and Saturday. So they'll be able to sit back, enjoy, get a gauge of where their setups are, where their co-drivers are at, and because of the articulate nature of the minds of some of these drivers as well, Scott, they'll be sitting there taking notes as well, because they'll be looking at it from a strategic standpoint, from an analytical standpoint, trying to pinpoint what they can do, to help their co-drivers, but also to enhance their setup within the regulations, of course, between now and Saturday, when they're in the firing line in what will be a frantic qualifying session then, I'm sure, as well, before the shootout. And then, of course, well, all bets are off once Sunday arrives, as we know.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things as well, Brody Kostecki stuck that lap in. I think he's done for qualifying. He's just happy to leave the car in the pit lane. So we'll see how this one goes. But there's one good way to stay out of the steward's hands, and it's to be sitting that car in pit lane. Lap good enough for the front row at the moment. We'll see and see if he needs to do another one. And for now, Josh Horton, we ride with the Vermilion car up and across the top. He'll be partnering Jacob O'Reilly come Sunday. Nice and straight. You can just see how close to the wall he is. They all look like reduced downforce on Gen 3 supercars in the hotter conditions. This is a real handful for these guys. Right up and across the top. Oh, there's someone going for a shortcut. Is that one of the... It looks like a Logitech car that's gone for the shortcut just up in the background of that. It was Ryan O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
Who's just gone for the shortcut. So he elects to take down the escape road and abort that lap. That's the level they're pushing to at this point in time. Already halfway through the qualifying session. 8 minutes left on the clock. Could this be the final laps that we see from this group? Surely there's enough time for one more.
You would think so. Well, trying to do the mathematics of it, Scotty. I mean, 8 minutes to go. So you're probably looking at 5.5 by the time you get back to pit lane, complete this lap, maybe 5 if you're a little bit further along in the train. Quick pit strategy, pit stop, splash dash, away you go. One of the cars already opting to do that now. And then luck's on your side. If you can get back to the start-finish line before the clock hits 0, that's fair game. Rehan Leonage on pit lane. So too Ruben Goodall. Great to see Rehan back out there. I know Sam Mann is sitting at home at the moment with a notepad, putting his notes together, ready to give us, oh, geez, Newman a bit wide going there into Griffin's Bend. And that might just put pay to that lap. Or is he warming up tyres? It looks as though it's a slow lap to this point. So we'll wait and see. Still, as you say, it's got 7 minutes to go in the session. But yeah, Sam Mann will be sitting there. And we know that he's a big fan of Rehan Leonage. He'll be sitting there making notes, getting ready to come in and give his exclusive expertise review of the co-driver clash first thing Sunday morning, and I'm already looking forward to that. I'm also hoping that he's not sounding as much like Darren Lockyer as he was when we caught up with him about half an hour ago, the great man, because Sunday is a huge day. We'll be with you for about 7.5 hours, ladies and gentlemen. We can hardly wait for that. Newman down through the S's and the Dipper. True to form, O'Sullivan and ERT on top, Kostecki in second, Lobbs Esports third, Thomas McMillan. This was Ruben Goodall's entry to pit lane. Oh, a bit Jamie Whincup-esque, 2007.
Yep. Do you know there was an Aussie super ute that actually went over in that gravel chap on Bathurst week this year? Went straight on. I was actually there talking to Amar Sharma actually just after the race. He ended up showing me some of the footage today as well. Interesting to note as well, we saw those shots of Brad Newman a little bit earlier on. He will actually be partnering on with Andrew Gilliam. So Stanaway is not available for this last round. Gilliam will be partnering with Brad Newman. Brad Newman, Bathurst local as well. I was chatting to him just recently, and we were talking about there was a couple of larrikins doing laps on of the track. As it turns out, it was him, his father, and his brothers on little moped-esque machines. I believe that was Saturday, actually, we were talking about. But anyway, so good opportunity to see him out in the sim, but a local boy. Interesting to see how he gets treated out on the racetrack as well. A little bit of a pariah in the community, shall we say, Brad Newman. So, yeah, I'm very, very curious to see what elbows get shown his way, because I get the feeling there might be a couple.
Let's be honest. Ethan Griggolt, good pedigree. His co-driver, Ryan O'Sullivan, equally as good. It's impressive, actually. It's been nice to see Ryan O'Sullivan back in racing parlance. I mean, I know Rhino from his exploits in XL Racing, but it's great to see him having a crack in the sim world. That's a great combination because you got XL brilliance there. We know what Ethan Griggolt's done over the course of time, 3-time national champion, for goodness sake. But the form car of this series has been the car in second spot, Brodie Kostecki, and with good reason. They would go in as firm favourites, not just for the 1,000 on Sunday, but also probably this co-driver clash tonight, Scott. But outside of Brodie, there's so many genuine contenders that if luck falls their way and things go right for them tonight, it could be their time to shine. It takes a lot to break the form guide around here. Usually it's helped by the aided interference of precipitation and uncertain weather elements. We don't look like we're going to have that problem tonight, so it's going to be one on merit, it's going to be one on strategy, it's going to be one on consistency and pace, and maybe, because it is Bathurst, just a little bit of good fortune as well, as Cody Birch comes across the line to complete another lap. And just having a look down there through the order, no real improvement as yet from Birch. And it's interesting, Rehan Leonage is still only sitting 9th at the moment as well. 3 minutes 51 left in this session, and still O'Sullivan from Kostecki, Ratu there in third, McMillan and Marcelo Rivera rounding out the top 5. 0.13 the margin first to second at the moment. Let's ride with Brodie Kostecki through Griffin's Bend now, Scott. We're off on a flying lap with him to see if he can overturn that 0.138 deficit.
It's interesting to see that he's actually going to pop back out here and have another crack at this one, so that's worthwhile keeping an eye on across the duration. Again, for Brodie, he will feel a little bit of retribution. Should there be an opportunity for him to prove what could have happened on Bathurst Sunday in 2025. The Dick Johnson racing machine did not make the finish line for him in the condition that he wanted it to. And everything started to go awry. But the thing is that mind that's in there underneath the helmet, in that sim rig, It is one of the greatest engineering minds we have in the country, and it's also attached to a brilliant race car driver. That's the benefit you get with Brodie Kostecki. That's why him and Jared Philsell have been so difficult to touch. And top of the lap looked relatively good, relatively clean, but again, you can just see how much activity there is in the rear end of the car. Again, 55 degrees Celsius track temperature out there. The tires are absolutely cooking on the rear end of this car, all the way up and across the top. But you've got to challenge it. You've got to drive it all the way to the wall. A little bit of drafting assistance from Oscar Target, the Porsche Cup driver, on his way down to the chase. He'll look to pull it up nice and cleanly. Carries it across to the curb on the inside. Sector times, are they looking good? Fastest laps at 2:07.010. One more corner to navigate for Kostecki. Can he steal this one away? Can he say to Ryan O'Sullivan, you better get back out there and beat this one? What's the lap like going to be? Target can't find the traction in behind him. It looks like it's a 6. It looks like it's good enough for pole, and it is. It's a 2:06.5. Kostecki to pole in the co-driver clash.
Wowee, what a lap. That is a scintillating lap. O'Sullivan's parked. He's not going back out there. So now the chance is there for Bradley Ratu, who we've picked up, to find half a second to try and displace O'Sullivan. I mean, he's only got the bee's proverbial on Thomas McMillan as well. Rivera's parked up. Then you've got William Sapstead out there as well. Car number 17. You've got Ruben Goodall, Richard Hampstead, Rehan Leonard, Leo Duncan. Is it just a case of everything's fallen into the right place at the right time for Brodie Kostecki, or is there pace in this track at the very end of the session? This will be the indicator. If Radu can lunge up and join Kostecki on the front row and displace O'Sullivan to third, down under the bridge to Murray's for the final time. He might opt to go. Oh, he's wide. He's missed the final turn. Bradley Ratu, it went well for 99% of the lap. I'm having horrible flashbacks to my time trial exploits in Gran Turismo around this circuit over the years. Scotty Rankin, it always went wrong in the last corner, and unfortunately that's gone so for Bradley Ratu on this occasion. So, and it would have ruined the momentum for the run to start another flying lap as well. So he's stuck there at the moment and at risk of being pipped as well. Here's McMillan across the line. Can he find some time?
He missed it by 2 thousandths of a second for Thomas McMillan. And Tyson Hodge into the last corner. So my apologies. Tyson Hodge in the last corner. Blew an engine on the way down in there trying to get the downshifts because it's the last corner of the lap. You blow the engine after you cross the start-finish line. No one cares. So if you're looking for a little bit of time, you'll be a little bit more aggressive. Josh Horton's going to start one more flying lap. Checkered flag is flying. 20 minutes worth of qualifying is now in the books. And there's one car with one in the background, into the fence. That's going to put a bunch of smoke across the track. Rain Campbell it was that found the barriers. So he'll come back to the pit lane. Leo Duncan's in. This is a bunch of cars. Qualifying session stuff. I'm just going to put it out there. I reckon there's only about 3 cars that are in a lap.
So that will mean that the way things look at the moment is the way they'll stay. And there's a couple of guys in here, Scott, that have got their work cut out for them once this race gets underway, based purely on the fact that they didn't get the result out of qualifying they would have been hoping for. I mean, the usual protagonists are there. Yep, sure, you got Kostecki, O'Sullivan, Radu, McMillan, Rivera. Here's Oisin Colangelo having one last gasp, one last stitch at it. There are 28 cars lining up here, but 3 of them haven't even put a lap time down, of course, running into that early trouble. Scott Mackay being the most notable of those. We saw him on pit lane very early in the piece with the engine gone. But Brad Newman, that Lobs Esports entry, we mentioned that, down in 22nd position. Cody Bircher has only managed 21st. So already the chips are falling. Our mate Dan Hall sitting 18th. Tom Freer teaming up with Brenton Hobson 16th. Rain Campbell in 15th. So there are a lot of guys that are going to be chasing their tail if they're going to turn this result around tonight and secure that golden ticket, that free pass, not via the detour, not via jail, straight via go to 2026. And jail, for the Monopoly reference, ladies and gentlemen, is purely the qualifying series and the 4 weeks of torment and hell that will be for the guys that will therefore add an extra 33% to their Logitech G Pro Invitational Series workload. in 2026 if they miss out on the golden ticket in 2025.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit easier next year than it was this year, because remember the difference was Gen 2 cars last year, Gen 3 this year. You had to come out with a great package. Just had a quick look through the field.
Right.
You're right. 2 cars that will not set a qualifying lap. 888. So we already talked about Scott Mackay in the 543. The other one was the 888. Rick Kuznetsov's co-driver is that of Brody Sentence. And this is Blake Warboys as well. Warboys elected not to run this year with the birth of his first child. Wanted to take a year off, get away from the sim a little bit. Does still do some casual sim racing on the side, so, you know, keep his skills up to date. Got back into karting as well this year. So first child and a little bit more karting meant that there was a little bit less time for the sim. Needed to put a little bit more time and effort into that one. Stepped aside, has made a great name for himself as a co-driver. Though for Blake Warboys, he's been brilliant there. Session is just about done. That is it, co-driver clash qualifying. Kostecki atop timesheets by a reasonable chunk as well. 2 and a bit tenths of a second. We'll see him take away that pole position. How about, though, the Orbit Drop Bear Mars car with Brad Ratsu on board? They will be very, very confident in their pace. 3rd on the timing sheet. That speaks volumes for what that car pace may be capable of.
Indeed. And the good thing for the Orbit Drop Bear boys, as we're having a look at the grid now, Scotty, is that they're versatile across the board. So they've taken some of the form that we've seen from them in glimpses, in packages, small doses during the GT Pro Invitational, and converted it over into the supercar. Brad Rutter's dual result. Let's hope he gets one tonight. Brody Kostecki continuing the dominance of the Lobs Esports stable, entry 94 throughout this Enduro campaign, the True Force Enduro Cup. Pole position for the co-driver clash alongside good old Ryan O'Sullivan for ERT on the front row.
Yeah, we'll get back to Brad Ratsu and Thomas McMillan, which will be a big statement for McMillan. He will want to improve upon his edition of Bathurst 2024. So he'll line up on row number 2. Great start for car number 55. Row number 3, we're going to get back into car number 97 of Marcelo Rivera. And he'll be lining up alongside of that of Richard Hempstead on the 29 machine. Moving back to row number 4, we're going to have the 143 of Blake Warboys, who'll be partnering with Jordan Ross on board that car. William Sapstead will be lining up to his outside. He'll be doing co-driver duties for Zach Rattray White. Ruben Goodall on board the number 53 means that Hayden Veld's got a handy co-driver alongside of him. Rehan Leonage a little bit deeper in the field than he would have liked. He was there and a threat of winning this race last year for car number 22. Leo Duncan has been a force to be reckoned with since stepping on board the Vermoon X Fury cars. He'll line up alongside of Josh Horton out of 11th and 12th. These guys getting back to the 1 second marker back from our pole position driver. Tyce Hodge will line up on the 13th spot. He'll start off alongside of Ewan Baker. 72 machine of Synergy Sim Racing. Adam Briggs, co-driver there for Ewan. Back to 14th and 15th is going to be Ryan Campbell, who had a short day back at Sandown. Shifter failure, unfortunately for him, left him deeper in the field. Tom Ferrier will be looking at things and sitting there in 16th spot and thinking, this is probably not good enough for me if I want to be a main game driver again next year. He lines up there in the Synergy Gatorade entry. Russell Pepperell is going to be lining up alongside of that of Dan Hall, deeper in the field, 17th and 18th spot. 9 rows of the grid deep for the Logitech marketing contact that keeps us all handily supplied. And Billy Mole and Tyson Williams are going to round out the 20 there, Caven.
Actually, on that very subject, I need to give a shout out to Dan Hall in just a moment. Cody Bircher and Brad Newman from row number 11 here. We'll keep rolling through. So ERT and Lobs Esports represented on both the front row and the 11th. Ian Zhu there for Vermilion Fury, and Evolution Racing's Oshin Colangelo sitting there on row number 12. And we know what she brings to the table, so it'll be good to see Oshin having a good run tonight, hopefully a clean run as well. Oscar Target, good to see him on the grid too, alongside Bo Albert, who's been in fine form on social media in the last couple of days, there in row number 13. Brody Sentence, the 888, and Scott Mackay in the 543 on row number 14 to round out this field. Time for the usual pre-race festivities, ladies and gentlemen. The Gamesman Grid Walk. Our pole sitter's about to join us, Scotty Rankin. He's a familiar name. He's a familiar face. He wants redemption at this place, as you said, for what happened in the real-world equivalent a few weeks ago. Let's have a chat with Brody Kostecki, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, place seat pole position from the co-driver clash. Brody, that first lap didn't look like it was all too well put together, but there was a massive jump in the temperature conditions for that one. A little bit of time sitting in the in the pit lane? I get the feeling that it was bars and things being tweaked just to make the car a little bit more to your liking for that second lap.
No, it's my headset went flat, so I had a headset for the first run. So I was just trying to charge my headset and make sure it doesn't go flat for the race.
Well, that's certainly a good enough excuse to be sitting in the pit lane for a farewell. Look, front row compared to co-driver clash from last year. Obviously, there's a lot of confidence on board car number 94 to be back up at the pointing end. But I tell you what, it's actually quite close for the co-driver clash this year. There's a lot of cars with pace here tonight.
Yeah, it seems like the field's really tightened up, and especially qualifying trim and the new Gen 3 car and iRacing. But yeah, we'll just sort of get a feel for it and see how the race car is coming up here shortly, and see if we got to do any work afterwards.
Mate, run down to turn number 1. Obviously, got to get that start nice and right, but you've been doing a lot of work in sim and out of sim to just make sure you get that positive launch. A lot of pride on the line here for you guys this weekend. Is this one of those ones that you really want to win first ever Bathurst 1000 in Gen 3 for the Pro Series?
Yeah, it would be cool to be. I think I can't remember how many Enduros that we've done. 3 Enduros coming up now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be cool to get the to clean sweep all the Enduros for this year. And Jared's had a really good year, obviously, and I think he's won all the races by like 3 or 4. So yeah, he's having probably a record-breaking year, which is really cool to see. And yeah, it'd be nice to add to that.
All right, mate. Congratulations on pole position. We'll let you get set for your race start and get the head down there, brother.
Cheers.
We're going to take a little bit of a walk down the field. We're going to be chatting to William Sapstead, who will be the next drivers on Gamesman Grid Walk. And Mr. Caven, you've got Willie Sapstead all ready to go on board car number 17.
We do indeed, and I'm very used to having a chat to the Eclipse Sim Sports stable, but William's a new one for me. Mate, nice to have you on board. Talk us through how qualifying fared as far as you were concerned. What was the verdict? 8th, is that a pass mark for you guys, or were you hoping for a little bit better?
Hoping for a little bit better. It's just I wasn't really prepared for the track temp. I just quite like a little bit of a bot, to be honest. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it does indeed. Car looks magnificent, mate. It's a bit of a hark back to the Team Vodafone livery going back many a year. There's always a nice tip of the hat to the heritage, the history, the tradition of this place when we arrive at Bathurst, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. The Eclipse boys did a good job with the paint. Looks pretty good.
Third and final Enduro of the year coming up on Sunday, but at the immediate forefront of our minds is what's ahead over the next 32 laps. What's the plan of attack? Obviously, a lot of drivers going with the idea of win it or bin it tonight. What are you capable of? What's a pass mark? And if you don't get the golden ticket tonight, will we see you in February?
Yeah, you will see me in February. The mark tonight, probably top 5 would be nice.
And how much guidance have you got from the Eclipse boys, the main game drivers that get to put the feet back up and relax tonight?
Yeah, they've been helping me up a lot. Strategy, setups, all that. So yeah, it'll be good.
What are you thinking with regards to strategy, mate? Because obviously we don't know if there'll be safety cars. We know it's 32 laps. We know there's one stop. Have you got a game plan in mind?
No, not at the moment. We'll just go for it.
full send and play it as it comes. Play with the cards you dealt.
Yeah, mate, that's it.
All right, mate. Hey, very best of luck to you and the Eclipse stable. We'll be having another chat to the boys on Friday night as well with the GT3 finale. Thanks for having a chat with us. We will maybe see you at the end.
All right, all good. Thank you.
From William Sapstead back to the voice of the series, Scotty Rankin. Here we go, mate. 32 laps, a smidgen under 200k. It'll be done and dusted in the space of about an hour and a half. And the first bragging rights of the week, the first psychological games of the week, about to unfold here. It's going to be good.
Mate, I actually just messaged Brad Newman just to get a little bit of a check-in with him. He qualified all the way back down there. In fact, you can see the lobs paint. He's right on the kink. I thought I'd just ruffle his feathers just a little bit because he's always actually quite good for a little bit of banter with Brad Newman. And I said, mate, what are you doing? Qualifying on the kink. Mate, that's not a great way to start the race. The response I got, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't drive this car.
Oh, dear. And that's another point as well, because we're seeing a bit of an overlap, aren't we, between our GT3 guys and our V8 Pro guys. That's not lost on anybody. There are some names here that are familiar to both audiences. There are some combinations here that are consistent between the two championships. So it's an extremely busy week for the guys that are going to jump out of these cars tonight and jump into the GT3, prepare for Friday, and then come back for the weekend here. But there are also some new guys that are A, new to the Gen 3, and B, new to the series as well. A couple of co-drivers throwing their hat into the ring here in the, what is the marquee event of the ASRG calendar for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Have a look up and down the pit lane. Get a sense for the occasion. Co-driver clash, about 45 seconds before we'll get lights out. This is the opportunity to see if... What?
Whose idea was the staggered start? When did Bathurst become an F1 starting procedure? No, I don't, I'm off that. I'm not a fan.
I agree. But anyway, here we go. We're about 30 seconds away. The lights will get to go out for the first time on Bathurst week. Co-driver clash, 1 golden ticket, 32 laps, a whisker shy of 200 kilometers is what stands between us and naming the first entry into season 2026. Who is going to stand up to the occasion? Who is going to line that one up? Revs are going to start to rise here in just a few moments from the front end of the field. Here we go. Co-driver clash in 2025. Revs will start to rise from the front end of the field. Who of the co-drivers will stand atop the mountain? Who is going to rise to the challenge on this one? I tell you what, Thomas McMillan got a mega getaway. He's actually going to pick off Ratu and try to go around the outside of O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's been backed up by Kostecki into turn number 1. That was the long way. There's car number 55. Can he make amends for 12 months ago? Can he step his name up into the season for 2026 and the run up Mountain Straight for the first time in 2025 in the Logitech V8 Pro?
Wow, blinder of a start from the Lobs Esports stable. From 4th to 2nd for McMillan. He got the whole shot, but it's his teammate that holds sway. Oh, 3 right to the cutting. Jeez, they got away with that. That was Samstead who we just caught up. Sapstead, I should say, who we just caught up with, of course. Boxed in there, getting through up towards the top of the mountain, and they're still 2 by 2. That might not end well. No, yet again, they get away with it. Somehow they get away with it, Scott. And this is exactly what we talked about. The intensity is lifted here because it's a one-off, because all bets are off. These guys will leave nothing on the table. This will be more intense than probably the first 5 hours of Sunday's 1000, what we're about to see over the next hour and a half.
I tell you, Ruben Goodall just made a pass on Blake Warboys. Guess where? Between the tree and the grate was where he got up the inside. Blake Warboys got checked up by Sapstead and Hempstead going into each other. Speaking of, Sapstead gets rotated, but he's been knocked back around by Ruben Goodall to contact on lap number 1. They're all checking up. Gen 3 cars going just a little bit everywhere as they run down Conrod Straight for the first time tonight. I can't believe the aggression on lap 1. We said there's no risk.
Yeah, well, there isn't. There's no risk in the sense that it all hinges on this, but you don't want to bring yourself undone by wearing the rubber of race control. Oh, Trans-Tasman entry, a little bit wide going out of the chase. That's standard procedure at this place. It was almost 90 degrees there for Sapstead as they made their way back onto the main straight. So he's lost out 1 spot on that to Blake Warboys. Ruben Goodall up in 7th spot at the end of the opening lap. Frantic start here at Mount Panorama, and now O'Sullivan down on the inside trying to get back by on Bradley Ratu, but they're going to drag race up Mountain Straight, and there's a little bit of door-to-door contact on the exit of Hell Corner as well. Gloves are off here, but the point I was going to make, Scotty, you don't want to wear the rubber race control this early in the night because it could put pay to your race at the end of 32 laps. You still want to be in it, so in order to get to the front, yes, you've got to be aggressive, but you've got to do it cleanly as well.
Contact between those 2 cars, and it was Aaron O'Sullivan. There's more contact just in behind them. Rivera and Goodall. Goodall has got the elbows out. He is on a man on a mission. Marcelo Rivera started this lap 5th. He's now going to go back to 6th, and Warboys are going to get rotated. He's gotten rotated by Sapstead. This little battle pack in the back end of the 10 has just been going nuts. The home field got checked up on their run out of the cutting on this lap. Can you believe how aggressive they're being? So many blows have been traded on the opening 2 laps here. This is not what it's going to be like on Sunday, but by golly gee, that is what makes the co-driver clash something special.
You'd want to hope it's not going to be like this on Sunday, Scotty, because if it is, you'll be out of a voice box by the 4th hour. I mean, we've already got one member of the team running on 7 cylinders. Actually, probably a couple less. And hello to Sam. And again, here's Thomas McMillan now sitting second. So McMillan, the key protagonist off the start, got the blind up, got up 2 spots, tucked into the slipstream, and really plays guard now, plays defence for Brodie Kostecki. The teammates, there'll be no team orders at this particular point in time, but there's no need to squabble either. You don't want to bring yourself undone. So he'll be happy to tuck in and follow his teammate, or will he? He's having a look on the inside of the chase.
Yeah, just a little bit of a look, and this will be an opportunity to perhaps protect the tyres just a little bit. How about McMillan? There's a car that's gone back off. There's 4 of them are going off in the background. That'll be Goodall, I reckon, that's kicked all of that off with the aggression level to this point here. Have a look at Ratsu and O'Sullivan on the run of the final quarter. Look at the lot of them. This,
yeah.
We're talking about, you know what? I'm going to be out of engine oil in just a few laps' time, let alone a few hours into Sunday.
Unbelievable. 2 by 2. It's like they're on the oval at Talladega. Thomas McMillan, 2:10.986, the fastest lap of the race as he goes to the front from Brodie Kostecki. Then Ryan O'Sullivan has got by Bradley Ratsu. Let's have a look at the replay. Sapstead with the big send. Oh, look at this clean. Let's go 10-pin bowling, ladies and gentlemen. He got 3 of them. 1, 2. Bob's your uncle. Have a look at the rejoin. It was okay, but race control, no doubt, they've already got some work ahead of them tonight. Through Griffin's Bend one more time. That margin is 0.5. Lap speed nowhere near where we would normally like it to be. What we'd normally consider, you know, perfect, optimum track temperature, weather conditions here, Scott Rankin. We're well south of that at the moment. But nowhere near those Hollywood numbers that we were talking about back in October in the real world equivalent.
Ruben Goodall's actually just made more contact. It was with Billy Mull in the 42 car. That's David Mulqueen's co-driver at the back end of the field. So there's so much that's going on there. But I can't believe Sapstead got squeezed on the grass too. There's so much that's, it's just, where do you look? There's more across the top.
Exactly right.
That's Warboys taking a shortcut.
Yeah, but there was evasive action there involved, I reckon, as well, Scott, because the Vermilion entry behind, the Vermilion Fury entry, I think it is, behind him, was out on the wrong side of the ripple strip coming across Skyline. On to Conrad. By gee, the intensity. But this is the good thing, right? If you're one of the leading trio and down Conrad straight, have a look at this as they make their way down. Already we're seeing some positions being lost here. So is there an issue with that car on the left-hand side of the screen? Time will tell. That's Blake Warboys. I was struggling to, I do apologise, I was struggling to get the reg on that, but Warboys has been gobbled up and gone back to 10th. Now, is that a redress or is that something else?
I don't know, but either way, he's yielded positions regardless of what's going on. Marcelo Rivera is going to hold up Tom Free to the inside of the road. Free is going to make contact with Dan Hall. Dan Hall's actually up a bunch of spots after surviving on those opening laps. The qualifying didn't go the way of car 115. Now have a look at Rain Campbell. He's just going to try and box Cody Bircher in. I tell you what, this nearly makes Sunday. We might get to Sunday, and there might be some exchanges thrown in the paddock before we even get there, and that just sets a light amongst them all on Sunday. It's going to be like a gas canister left uncorked overnight, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, Ian Zoot's picked up a 10-second penalty, contact with car 42 at Murray's on the opening lap. So already some penalties being handed down by race control, and we are only, well, this is lap 4. By the end of this, we're only 1/8 of the way through the race. So what's that, 12.5%, Scotty? There is still a long way to go here. Never got to finish making the point. If you're one of the leading quadruple or quartet, I should say, that it made their way through this unscathed so far, you're not concerned with what's going on behind you, but by gee, you're going to enjoy watching the replay when the gloves are off and you weren't part of it, nor none the wiser as to what the hell was going on. Clean set of heels, focus on your own race. Don't worry about what's going on behind you, because if you can get to the last 10 laps here and still be in contention, then you've got to worry about upping the aggression and the intensity potentially. But at the moment, just focus, eyes forward, as they say. Worry about the car immediately behind you, in front of you, and that's it. 5-second penalty for contact with car 17, Ruben Goodall. That was, of course, the Sapstead entry that we mentioned a few moments ago. That was the incident down at Forest Elbow.
Yeah, so he's straightening back up, still caught 5 seconds. And again, it's just an opportunity to show how aggressive you can possibly be. Here comes Warboy. He's going to start tracking. He's fuel saving. There was definitely a major lift there before they got to the cutting. We're trying to tire save at the front end, take some weight off the front axle. Keep that car pointing in the right direction. There's Goodall. He's dropped a long way back through the field, and he'll have some work to do after going off the road. But Vassar just having a quick look at a couple of cars. Car 27, a little bit of damage on the rear bar for that one. So there is some stuff going on up and down the field at least. But Ryan O'Sullivan's managed to make his way through to P3.
And in all of this, Scott, we mentioned earlier, there's Oisin Colangelo up in the 19th. Needed a good start, has managed to make one, and inside the top 20 now, but still a long way to go. But all that squabbling, all that's achieved is that it's whittled down the list of potential race contenders. We often say, because it's Bathurst, that anyone from anywhere on the grid, as we evidenced in 2014 in the real world thing, you can win it from anywhere on the grid, right? But reality is, especially in a race that's only, you know, a fifth of the distance, 200 kilometres, that's not always entirely the case. If you're outside the top 10 at the moment, you need a lot to go wrong to get inside the top 10. So very slowly but surely, this is whittling down to a race between, well, potentially two Lobs Esports entries, but realistically, those next two, Ratu and O'Sullivan, are in fight still if we get a safety car at any point. A little bit more argy-bargy there at Christmas Bend.
Well, you just said...
trouble at the cutting.
You might get a safety car, and this happened moments before that. So that was pretty much bang on cue. Yeah, Oscar Target's lost the front end of that car, but it is going to be a slow drive back to the pit lane. That will be his day done for sure, because there's not going to be enough time to get that car back in suitable position to be contending.
And we're probably already putting a line through those that have already been given an invoice, by the way, of a second penalty as well. Scott can be at 5 or 10 seconds. And
that was our target, and Triple A to Brody Sentence came together, and that was because Brody Sentence lost a ton of momentum on off of Griffins. We saw a few moments before that, Oisin, Colangelo, Scott Mackay, and Sentence all going into Griffins, and Sentence and Colangelo were both deep on that occasion. Sapstead on the recovery drive after being bowled off down at the chase, and he tries to track down Tice Hodge and make an impression upon him. Check this replay.
Wow.
Oh, that'll be a destroyed rear axle as well.
How unlucky can you be? The right front and the left rear have been poleaxed there as Williams comes back to pit lane. So 27 started, Scotty. We've still got 27 running, but the list of contenders is whittling very quickly. And here's a move on the inside. Rehan Leonage having a lunge, not yet. Settling into 6th position for the moment. Also worth noting too, a bit of all-star power behind the wheel of the course car should we need to deploy it at some point tonight, by the name of Sean McNamara, ladies and gentlemen, one of the ASRG committee upper echelons members, and obviously will be in the main dance on Sunday in the 951, but is in the safety car tonight, probably hoping that it doesn't get deployed at any point, quite frankly.
Well, it was his birthday the other day. I thought we were supposed to get birthday presents, not birthday punishments.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't know what he's done to earn that right, but yeah.
Made the mistake of saying that he was free to work tonight, I dare say.
Yeah, that'll 100% be it. Right, Sapstead's closing in on the back end of Tice Hodge in this one. Blake Warwood is actually the next car in behind these guys, is slowly working on tracking them back down as well. He's doing quite a good job. The tricky part is getting the pass complete here. And over the last couple of laps, one of the quickest cars actually on track has been Rehan Leonage. The problem for him, he's 6.2 seconds off the race lead at the moment, but he was 0.2 of a second faster than Josh Horton last lap. So he's making a lot of gain off of turn 1 is where I'm seeing positive sector times from him. And I just heard him on the clutch as he came into the chase that time by. So Leonage is fuel, I think they're all fuel saving.
Yeah, but is there any merit in it, Scott? I mean, again, if we get a safety car, race is neutralised anyway, and we know that you're not going to get 32 laps out of the tank. There is going to be at least one stop. So talk us through the pros and cons of fuel saving at this particular at this particular point in time, and why they might be actually applying that tactic.
One of the bigger reasons is shorter pit stop. Plain and simply. So long as you've got enough fuel to get a fresh set of boots on, you can come in and pit and make the gain up on that fuel and get that position. But if you can overtake somebody in the pit lane, well, you don't have to do it on track. And the reason you want to do that is because of the high degree of difficulty of overtaking. So that's generally what's going to trigger one of those. And Leonard's actually going to have a dive at Horton, at Griffiths. He gets that job done. So Leonard cuts his way through to 5th. And I think Tyson Williams might be trying to roll back out of pit lane after a 2-minute stop, or his day might become 1 off the 2. Update as well for Marcelo Rivera in car 97. He's going to pick himself up a drive-through penalty for contact with car 17 on lap 2. So that's a Stapstead car, and that says to me Rivera squeezed him on the run to the chase.
Yep, and of course both cars now have been dealt an invoice in one way or another, but Rivera's is particularly hefty. Now we're going to have a look at that replay of the incident in question and why that is the case. Oh no, this is the previous one. Oh no, coming together on the exit of the chase at turn 22.
Actually, that wouldn't be, because it was, remember, it was, you know, it was, sorry, my apologies, it wasn't a car that was the car 17. Yeah, so ENG was the car that actually ran wide. I was just trying to figure out which car actually had contact with Rivera and where that was. It was the chase on lap 2. So we were right initially. But yeah, that was ENG, unfortunately. That was wide at the chase, tripping up Hampstead, unfortunately. And you can see with Rivera, that black flag against his name in the timing tower, will have to do a trundle through pit lane. He'll probably be due for that one this time by. No, it's going to go one more lap. It's Evolution Racing Team car in the background. Won't come to the pit lane this time. But how good are the little battle packs, the little stoushes? I'll tell you what, lap speed from as has been quite usual from our front two, and the key to the Lobsy cars this season has been their ability to look after tyres and maintain pace. They are both still down on the 208s. My apologies, last time by finally because they could drop into the 9s, so pace has been good from the front two. In the meantime, this little bundle right in the middle of things, having a little bit of a sticky beak at each other all the way up. It's just finding that overlap, finding that opportunity to go searching for that little bit of benefit, that mistake from the car ahead. And Warboy's starting to get closer to Sapstead as they'll get to the rear bar. The run down across Rock Skyline through the S's and the Dipper. Can't carry the speed out. So whilst Warboys was quick on the run to Skyline, Sapstead's speed is coming from the S's and the Dipper, which all of a sudden makes him, again, comfortable when they get to the elbow. So that's the big change between those two cars. Problem for Sapstead's not really able to make advantage of it to potentially put a move on Tice Hodge. Leonard starting to pull away, front end of this group, has been 0.3 of a second quicker than the two cars ahead of him over the last couple laps, and fuel saving as well, as are the whole group up at the pointy end of this one. But he is desperate to try and track the next two cars down at the moment. And no further action between car 17 and car 143 for the contact, I believe. That was up at the cutting on lap 3. So for now, that group gets a little bit closer, as does this one. Everyone's just starting to bottleneck in between, behind a couple cars. Tice Hodge, the bottleneck for 7th, 8th and 9th. Sapstead would love an opportunity to put a move on it. This little group in behind. All caught up a little bit in behind Tom Freer. Marcelo Rivera ahead of this one. So for now, run up to the cutting, and Sapstead gets the move on Hodge. He's been waiting for an opportunity to do that Looks like they've got a great car up across the top. He needs to make advantage of that one whilst he possibly can. It's a job done. Now for War Boys. Hodge looks a little bit out of sorts as they dip through with a grate. He again starts to take time out of these guys. So Hodge is looking just a touch weak. What's War Boys got this time? Looks a little bit better through the S's and the dipper. It's out the other side. He just cannot get the foot to the ground to try and put those rear tyres through their paces. Now he gets closer at the elbow as well. But again, War Boys doesn't get the exit that he's looking for. But the problem is Hodge's car is just shut off at the front end. It doesn't want to turn anymore. So the ninth lap of this one into the co-driver clash. Thomas McMillan leads the way on board car 55. And don't forget, his partner in crime, Luke Rosella, won this thing last year. This will be a huge, huge statement heading into Bathurst. The problem for car 55, it's got to come from the rear on Sunday. Technical issues means a rear field start. After penalties from the previous rounds, they've had rear field starts the last couple of rounds as well. Phillip Island, telemetry software not submitted by Thomas McMillan meant they had to come from the rear at Sandown. And again, dramas at Sandown means they come from the rear end of the field for the 1000 on Sunday. But to the meantime, Zach, they do lead the way.
Yeah, and I can relate all too well to technical issues. Unfortunately, hello. There you, Scotty, and hello again, everybody. I'm hunched. The wild was head. Oh dear. Week, isn't it?
For the moment, up and across the top,
Ratsu. That, but I hope I'm back with you now, guys.
Yeah, Ratsu's starting to make a little bit of a gain on Ryan O'Sullivan. He's starting to track him down just a little bit front too. Gornder about the tune of 5 seconds down the road from these guys. And the problem that these two have is that Rehan Leonage is starting to track them down. Update incident on lap 5 at turn 22, the kink. Car 29 was at fault but rotated itself off the nose of Ian Hughes. I believe he's on board car number 900. So there'll be no penalty for that one. Run to the chase. This time by, this is Leonage and Horton. Horton's not fuel saving anywhere near as much as Rehan Leonage is. So whilst Leonage has got the pace, he is desperately trying to save a little bit of juice in the tank, whereas Horton is not looking to do so at this point in time. 10 laps in. Now as they come to the start-finish line, it means that we are creeping towards the halfway point of the stint. Brody Kostecki will go ahead and set a new fastest lap of the race as well. That just tells you the track is coming to these guys. Track temperature starting to come down as well.
And not before time. You start to get towards that right end of the day in which everything starts to dip, which will be a welcome relief to tyres, drivers and everyone else alike. Ruben Goodall's opted to jump into pit lane now as well, Scotty, and it's interesting too, mate, because you mentioned lap 11. We were talking about the critical lap going into the second stint here. We're about that point, so Ruben's obviously identified that and gone with it, and we'll wait and see if that pays dividends for him in the long run.
Yeah, so undercut opportunity. See if he's able to make the most of that one. Yeah, they've got a pack of them. They're all just starting to cluster up just that little bit, aren't they? Rivera needs to go to the pits this time by too, or else he will be disqualified. So he's going to drive to the penalty to serve. And there's a massive moment for 21 at the moment, which will be that of Wayne Campbell. Manages to hang on the car and out the other side. Margin between our race leaders, 0.8 of a second at the moment. McMillan again punching.
Have a look at the
The whole,
performance
yeah.
from... Look at these two. But that's the other point as well, Scotty. They're 3.5 up the road from this battle for third, so they've just incrementally extended that advantage right throughout the course of the stint so far. They've put themselves in the box seat, really, already, haven't they? And there's still 20 laps to go.
Well, at the moment, but have a look at the cars in behind them that are just starting to track them down. Leonage has been taking half a second out of these guys a lap. He is coming. He's down into the 208s as well, 208.881. Another car, I just heard the pit lane alarm go off. That's Rivera. He'll dive to the pit lane. That's the drive-through penalty. That'll clear that one. Leonage will light it up on the curbing at turn 1. And he will be fairly keen to shove these tyres in a hurry with the treatment. So for now, Ratu gets a little bit closer, but he'll want to be in front if he can be, because they're starting to lose half a second a lap to the race leaders. And every lap that goes on, that margin just grows and grows and grows. You can't save half a second of fuel a lap. You cannot do that. So he needs to get a hurry on and start to punch the hole in the air ahead of Ryan O'Sullivan if he's got the pace.
Anxious moments. I want to ask you a question with regards to the tyres, Scotty. Would there be any merit in running it bang down the middle and stopping lap 16? 16 and 16, evening it out.
That'd absolutely be the quickest way to connect the dots. But the problem is, if you're that far out in front, you'll take a pit stop, you'll end up in the traffic. And field spread at the moment, that is a problem. Car 53 is still in the pit lane, who's been in there for 3 minutes now, so their day will be done. That'll be Ruben Goodall. Tickford Super 2 driver. How strong was their performance back at Bathurst across all the sessions across the weekend for Tickford and Super 2?
Yeah. And that's the thing. There was a lot of confidence out of Super 2 and some of the drivers that appeared in Super 2 and then obviously backed up in co-drive also were able to carry on with that in the 1000. Others weren't. That's the nature of Bathurst, isn't it? And some teams, vice versa, you know, had a better run in Super 2 than they did the 1000. I think we'll see a very similar narrative here on Sunday, Scotty. Those that perform aces in GT3 might not necessarily perform Guns N' Roses in the Sunday affair. It can be a cruel beast, this place, Mount Panorama at the best of times. Up Mountain Straight we go. This is, of course, lap 13 now of 32, and a move on the inside, and cleanly executed as well.
Yeah, job done. Looks like Sapstead's tyres are just starting to go off, and Blake Warboys has been waiting for that opportunity to get that one done. So now he gets the opportunity to punch out at the head of this little pack. They've been punching on. And one of the things about Blake Warboys is he tends to be brilliant at just reading the situation, applying pressure, holding back when he needs to.
How close was Sapstead to the wall just then as well, Scotty? Jeez, he did well not to lose the mirror on the left side door there as he went up over the crest. We'll see a few of them disappear on Sunday, I'm sure. Maybe even in the shootout Saturday night as well. Getting towards that critical point. McMillan and Kostecki dominating this at the moment. 0.9 the margin first to second. And I did hear, and again, I don't see as much of the real world supercars as I once used to. I don't engage with it as much as I used to. But one of the interesting things for mine out of all of that, there was a bit of discussion over the weekend about dirty air. Getting out of dirty air. Staying behind too long, being in dirty air. So maybe that's something for Brody Kostecki to consider here as well. Is he...
He's just having a go at Ryan O'Sullivan. There was a moment there for the pair of them, and what it's done is it's brought Rehan Leonage back into this one. He's going to follow him down into the final corner. And was that Josh Horton just sneaking off into the pits?
I think so.
It was. That was smart. That's a great call, because now you pin this group together. The only problem is That is just shy of the halfway marker. So there is absolutely a world where that's a fraction too early. But he's going to look for the undercut when everyone's trying to fuel save, when everyone's trying to battle. Josh Horton sneaks off in the pit lane, and there's every opportunity he might take advantage. This will be a nice little replay.
It will be. It'll give us an indication as to where that time was lost as well. Ooh.
I'll tell you what, Gavin actually launched that from a long way back, and I reckon he tried to pull out of it in the end, and that's why he cost himself a bunch of time.
And O'Sullivan clearly was aware to it and yielded and took a cautious approach, and that's where Rehan Leonage has just sucked out that deficit that he had and taken full advantage and said, righto boys, now I'm on your tail, let's race, let's dance. Interesting thing too, again, going back to the slipstream point, maybe there's something to be said about being in the dirty air too long, following these cars too closely, nose to tail. That might be having an impact. But to your point about tyre wear as well, Scotty, if the track temperature continues to diminish, come down, if the ambient temperature continues to come down, maybe it won't necessarily be as big of a hamstring, bit of an anchor on Horton's run home here. Maybe he won't pay the price as much as he would have in the opening stint if the track temperature was still 50 odd degrees in the run home doing that extra couple of laps. It'll be interesting to see how much of an impact the changing conditions have here.
Interestingly enough, he's actually come out not too far off the back end of the rear end of the field as well for Josh Horton, which says to me that right now Brody Kostecki and Thomas McMillan, they can't pit. Because if they pit, they'll be coming right out in the mix amongst the back end of the traffic. They're going to have to go to the back end of this stint, or hope that everyone behind them pits. Else they're in a they're just sort of hamstrung in terms of their strategy opportunities. Then again, with the lead they've got, how much of that is hamstringing at this point in time?
Oh, here we go.
Leonage is going to pit.
Rehan Leonage. Yep. So Leonage has latched on, put in a very solid in-lap and thought, you know what, if it's good enough for Horton, it's good enough for me. I think he was probably more worried about covering off Horton than he was about getting embroiled in the battle between O'Sullivan and Ratu, to be fair. That might have been the tactical thinking from those guys at the TTR stable. It's like 15 to 32, folks. 15 gone, 17 to go. Milan Kostecki, O'Sullivan, Ratu, and Warboys. And there is the car in question. We've just picked up where Horton is on the racetrack. Coming out of Hell Corner. And just ahead of him, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, is Rehan Leonage. So Rehan Leonage, the overcut has worked for Rehan in this instance. So will it continue to do the same for the guys on screen at the top of shot at the moment, coming up over the crest at McPhillamy? O'Sullivan, Ratu, and Blake Warboys in there as well. So this is a real good little ding-dong scrap that's unfolding at the top of the mountain. Lobs Esports 1-2 dominating this race. It is the 55 ahead of the 94, but that matters very little now. On Sunday, of course, match point for Phil Sell in the championship, and of course he and Kostecki have already got one hand on the True Force Enduro Cup as well. It'll be interesting to see if he can convert it and consolidate it here and wrap it up and be champion elect going into the final round, which therefore, Scotty, again will be a situation of, for some, the gloves will be off because they've got nothing to win, nothing to lose, nothing to gain. But it'll be those minor placing battles, and anyone on the bubble of the top 20, a la Golden Ticket or C in February, as Ratu comes to pit lane now as well. It'll our focus, our attention for that final round of the season, if the championship's already signed, settled and delivered, we'll definitely look to those other minor placing battles and the bubble 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah, so I'll give everyone watching along at home the mathematics, because it is very, very important at this point in time in terms for a championship. We're talking main game drivers. This has really got a lot to do with what we're seeing out on track, and also absolutely nothing at the same point in time. In the lead by 390 points at this point in time in the championship is Jared Vilsell. Well, a regular race is 200 points. Bathurst is double that, 400 points. All point totals for Bathurst are doubled, effectively, as they have been throughout the entirety of the True Force Endurance Cup. Here come the pit stops as well. Warboy, Leo Duncan's in, Tom Foyer's in. 21st or better is enough for Jared Filsell to seal the championship. Brad Ratu's dropped back out. By the way, this is really, really important to the race at large. He's dropped in behind Josh Horton. So that says to me, how much fuel was Leonage saving? But it must have been a lot. And by the way, Leonage has just had to overtake Ian Zhu. That's not for position. No. That is Ian Zhu, who's still yet to pit on board car 28.
So Rehan's caught the back end of town, those that haven't yet, those that are lingering at the back of the pack that haven't yet come down and transited the lane. So Rehan Leonage, there's the pit box time, 14.2 compared to Bradley Ratu, 16.7. That's 2.5 seconds. An inch is as good as a mile around here, Scott Rankin. That's an enormous chunk of time that Rehan Leonage has been able to save on the lane, and therefore the transit time exactly 2.5 seconds difference as well. Normally, yeah, they normally talk about the pit lane transit here. You just saw it on your screen. Sub 40 seconds for the entire stop, transit, hold, etc. And that makes all the difference at the back end of the race here. And that could also put Rehan Leonage in the position to displace this bloke here, Ryan O'Sullivan. And by the way, we've got Brady Baldwin on standby to do a driver change if my internet continues to play up, but I think it's started to stabilise now, which is good news.
We've got our co-drivers ready in the commentary box. By the way, Horton is going to be overtaken by Ratu, so Josh Horton will yield that spot. Here comes the rest of the pit stops. Dan Hall is now in. Ratu's managed to get that one done. And I don't have a direct line to Leonage, but I did have to Brad Ratu's code, well, the main driver for car 27, which is Tyson Broder. Messaged him and said, do you reckon they're any good on fuel? He said, we really don't know. We really don't know. So Leonage could be in a world of hurt. That margin's only 2.9 seconds. I reckon Leonage is going to have to save the whole way to the end of the race. Well, this is going to be an interesting one through to the end of the race, and now this is Ian Zhu, but still yet to pit. And Ratu will walk by at the earliest possible opportunity. In fact, he's going to show the nose before they get to the cutting. He's going to get held up the whole way across the top. This is fresh tyres versus old tyres. Zhu will be doing his best to hang on to this one, but right now, I think Rehan Leonage has become Ian Zhu's biggest fan.
Yep, absolutely. That was the risk we ran, wasn't it? Because of the vast disparity between the top and tail of this field. Scott, you highlighted it, of course. Once all the squabbling started and the field vastly spread out the way that it did, this was always likely. And when Rehan Leonage was able to come out just on the tail of Zhu and then execute the overtaking manoeuvre very quickly and get by and give himself that breathing space, all of a sudden, he's put himself in the box seat, as I say, for a potential podium finish here at the expense of Ryan O'Sullivan. That O'Sullivan pit stop now all of a sudden lingers as a critical point in this race as we head down Conrod, where Ratu, and O'Sullivan's on pit lane right on cue, Ratu will desperately want to get that overtake done by the chase.
But he will, because this is starting to hold him up and cause him a little bit of drama. You know what? He's probably going to have lost a fair amount of time across the top of the mountain. Zhu just has no tyre left to really find anything left with, and he's at the back end of his sit. And there it is immediately. There's a teammate behind him, so he jumps straight out of the way. Yep, there's the team game being played.
Racecraft 101, gamesmanship 101. Brilliant.
Yep. Yep, set him up.
But all that's done is really give the Lobs Esports boys even more breathing space, quite frankly.
I tell you what, Ratu lost 1.2 seconds to Leonage on that lap.
Yep, and there's O'Sullivan coming back out into the mix as well.
That might be enough. So O'Sullivan's going to have the best tyres of the lot, but he still pops in behind Ian Zhu. So he will still have to navigate the first of those vermilion cars, which will be critical. They want to do that early, but he also won't want to extract too much from the tyre. Have a look at our race leaders. They've just kicked on with this one as well. There's still not a hole for them to surface into.
No.
Like they will still have some traffic if they were to pit now, but it is easing. The holes in the traffic are becoming bigger.
Indeed they are. And Rehan Lienage, the net winner out of all of that, came out ahead of Radu, came out ahead of Horton, came out ahead of O'Sullivan. Essentially. Yeah, O'Sullivan's lost.
Just gone for it across the top. He's actually just made contact with Ian Dew across the top again. Shoes in the wall. And that was the aggression that's required for Ryan O'Sullivan. It was only a little bit of a brush. Zhu caught the worst of it by far. But that's what's required if he's going to have anything to do with the podium on this race.
And no doubt some frustration as well, contributing to that as well. Across the top, here's the replay. Down the inside, was there a gap there? That's what race control look at. Well, there was, but Zhu was a little bit wide as well, so fair game. I don't think there's any reason for race control to have an extended look at that one, Scott. I think Zhu brought himself undone. I don't think there was any contact from the O'Sullivan car. Fair game, play on.
Yep.
The initial point of contact, I mean.
There was a hole there, whether or not he wanted to do something about it. By the way, update car 53, 5-second penalty from lap 3, turn 4. Car 42, so that was the Mole Queen car. Co-driver on board currently is Billy Mole for that car at the moment down at the tail end of the field. That was after Ruben Goodall went around and had a whole bunch of drama. He was at the tail end of the field. Still trying to keep on trucking with that one. So cars that we've lost from this one. Oscar Target on 08, that's Jack Widdis' co-driver. Brody Sentence, co-driving with Rick Kuznetsov, is out of this one. Car 53, Ruben Goodall will be with Hayden Veld. Car number 97, Marcelo Rivera, failing to serve black flag in time. And car number 47 is still trucking at the moment. One lap down for Tyson Williams. This will be race laps for him tonight now. This will just be stint laps. Get your eye in.
And no safety car to this point, Scott. Despite all the aggression, despite all the pent-up energy out there, no safety cars as yet. So yes, there's been a bit of work for race control to do in terms of adjudications. That was O'Sullivan scraping the wall that time through, wasn't it? My goodness, on the absolute limit here, trying to track down Brad Ratu, having got by Josh Horton. Ratu the next target for O'Sullivan in full send mode across the top, 1.4 the margin, but he can't really afford to go any closer to the wall than that, because once you start to scrape it a little bit harder, damage becomes an issue for you at that point. So yes, he's on the absolute limit. Yes, we understand why, but you don't want to ruin the night and finish abruptly. Let's put it that way. Down Conrod, this battle's now spaced out a little bit, Scotty.
How about this story? 1, 2, 3, Lobs Esports, although all 3 cars yet to pit. And this is going to be the ride on board with O'Sullivan. But through the grate, and he'll step wide. Oh, he did get it. He did get it. Did get a reasonable piece of it too.
Yep. And these two just content to just keep on going. Thomas McMillan, this has been a brilliant stint from him. If he can match this on Sunday, by gee, the team are going to be very happy. And very well placed, you would argue, in the big picture, of course. Lobs were prominent and dominant here last year. No reason why they can't be again in 2025. And to be fair, I mean, given that we know Brody Kostecki is a usually very busy man through much of the year with his real-world supercars commitments, it's no skin off his nose if he runs second tonight. If McMillan gets the gold ticket, he'll snatch that up with open arms, I'm sure. You won't have to ask him twice.
Will be over the... I can't wait for that interview, by the way. McMillan, he's a character. You never know what you're going to get with Thomas McMillan, to be perfectly honest. This is interesting, though, for Wall Boys, as he's going to try and get the job done here and continue his ascent. It's Leo Duncan he's going side with. Just about gets the fence. Is he going to get some help here from William Sapstead, who's going to get down the inside of Duncan as well? Yes, they both go sailing on by. But the time they would have lost out of that one. Sapstead's on the freshest tyres amongst the group of them, after being used up a fair way in that first stint. And Duncan, I think, is in pursuit of a little bit of respect in this field. He might be worthwhile half a shout of having a crack at qualifying next year, you know?
that qualifying series is already setting up nicely as compulsory viewing, isn't it? It always is. We don't know who's going to be in the field yet, but you just know it's going to be eagerly anticipated because this is the preeminent supercar racing series in Australia. And if you can't be in the main dance automatically through the end of 2025, you desperately want to be part of 2026. We saw that with Bathurst last year. It just started to kick the discussion off, the interest, intensified with regards to people wanting to be in the field and in the mix and a part of it. And we saw that in the qualifying series, didn't we, Scotty? I had to deputise. Funnily enough, isn't it? Some correlation there. I had to deputise for your voice being on Struggle Street back to the last of the qualifying rounds, and I'm here for the co-driver dash in place of Sandman in very similar circumstances tonight. But we saw the dejection for the drivers that missed out in the qualifying series as well, automatically knowing full well that they were probably going to be getting a call the next morning to lock them in for a co-drive. So, yeah, it just goes to show you how much is on the line, how much is on the table, and how much it means to these guys tonight. There'll be a lot of people, as I say, disappointed. Good move on the inside. Warboy's under pressure and has lost the spot.
And that'll be the fresher tyres. The Sapstead ran longer. Now he's trying to use that little bit of rubber advantage to try and disappear a little bit of a way down the road. Pick that up the road as well. The next couple of cars are Tom Freer, Tice Hodge. Freer's inside the 10. The only reason that Tom Freer is actually available as a co-driver is because he had pedal failures during the qualifying series. 2 rounds, all the way back at the Hungaro ring. Back in his February, Freer would have been thinking about qualifying for this series. Getting word, we think a couple of these cars might be pitting at the end of this late. Thomas McMillan is pitting this time by. And that will leave Brodie Kostecki to go one more lap. And that says to me Kostecki was saving fuel the whole time and quite aggressively. Happy to just sit there and let T-Mac do the work.
And now we all of a sudden are watching his pit stop with a view to whether the overcut works for him as well, in the same way that it worked for this young bloke on screen, Rehan Leonage, who is effective 3rd in the motor race at the moment. Newman and Hampstead still to clear themselves for Lobs Esports and Trans-Tasman Racing 3rd and 4th at the moment. They haven't yet stopped. We're on to lap 22, 11 to go, 2/3 race distance, critical lap. So very shortly we're going to get a good indication as to where things sit going into the quick, short, sharp, snappy sprint to the line. There's Leonage coming back out, and he's not all that far away. That's enough ground away from McMillan, but it looks as though Leonage has been able to still make a gain on the guy that's led this race from the front. Up towards Griffins we go once more. And contact on the OG Gear replay, but everyone able to drive away under their own steam.
Is that the 47 car? 47 car. That car's a lap down, actually, which is really, really interesting. But again, like I said, that they're out there data gathering and race conditions gathering because it's a hot track and testing that car through a range of conditions. Think back qualifying, we said it got up to 55 degrees Celsius. This is how much the track conditions are swinging around at. It's 42 out there now. So significant.
Qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah, peaked at 55, 55 and a half. So
Tice Hodge sitting 9th at the moment. Vermilion by Fury. Great to see them sitting there in, well, a loaded capacity. There's so many Vermilion entries in this field. This is just one of them. Vermilion by Fury, I mean, obviously we're very familiar with Vermilion Esports through the likes of Lewis Greathead, Sam Chapman, through the GT Pro Invitational Series with thanks to our good friends at the Gamesman. Vermilion by Fury, Scott, is this a joint venture between 2 different entities, or is it a team name change or something that I'm not across? Because this is the first time I've seen Vermilion by Fury in action this year.
Yeah, it is a partnership between Fury Esports team, I believe, as well. So a little bit of a partnership between the two of them. A little bit of performance management as well. Who did I see just leaving in the pit lane? It was Brad Newman diving into pit lane. So Kostecki's got another lap again. And that is Thomas McMillan continuing on. So I think there is only one car left to pit. We'll get a good read of where everyone is. Have a look at Ryan O'Sullivan starting to track back down. Brad Ratsu,
Yeah.
there is, sorry, my apologies, one more car left to pit. It's car sitting in third spot, Richard Hampstead.
So all of a sudden, though, Sullivan is back in the hunt for corrected order fourth outright on the racetrack. Kostecki to pit lane this time by, we would imagine. McMillan's in there, 32 seconds the advantage, but that'll of course trim significantly once the pit stop sequence is complete. Hampstead not in the mix at the moment. These guys are fighting for fourth on the racetrack on corrected order. Rehan Leonage, a very lonely third, and that's probably the most impressive aspect of this for mine, Scott. He's put 3 seconds on those guys, 2.6 across the top of the mountain once more.
Yeah, he was doing massive amounts of fuel saving in the early part of that race for Leonage, and now that's all done. But for now, Ratsu's got the advantage. The problem being 2 laps worth of tyre delta, although they just sort of stabilise in the middle end of the stint for a fair while. So that mighty advantage that Ryan O'Sullivan had earlier on might have gone now that those tyres are sort of 5 laps old. But for the meantime, Warboys is continuing to just range up on these guys. Remember, Sapstead had a tyre advantage, tyre overcut on him. But again, Sapstead was slow at the back end of that first. Kostecki's gone again. Gee whiz, he's been light on. He must be paying for the fuel, surely.
But again, that sends a message in itself, doesn't it, to the rest of the pack, that this guy has been able to stretch the tank to lap 24. So it's going to be 75% race distance, 8 laps to home. That might be a talking point on Sunday. I know we go a lot longer on Sunday, but if between he and Jared Vilsell, they can maintain this pace and also then stretch their tank a little bit, it's going to put them in the box seat if we have a race that isn't truncated by the presence of too many safety car intervals. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's just circle that as a talking point on Sunday, purely because I asked you the question earlier, what merit is there in fuel saving? Well, if you can be that quick and fuel save at the same time, that right there is the merit. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, he's made a massive gain. Running long as well for Kostecki, who then gets in that overcut as well. So this is McMillan's opportunity to just see if he can't disappear down the road just a little bit. For Kostecki, though, probably due in at the back end of this lap. We'll see if he elects to go much further than that. And then again, what pace has he got post-pit stop? What is he looking to achieve with that one?
To the chase. Just
Brody
getting word
Kostecki.
through, yeah. Brody Kostecki just punched out his fastest lap of the race on that previous lap. So what does that say about the lack thereof maybe tyre wear as well? He's going again. This is an incredible run from Brody Kostecki. I think that's one of the first questions we have to ask him when he comes to the commentary box post-race, Scott, is just how he was able to nurse the tyres, and because we're talking about tyre wear very early on in the piece, because of the stiflingly hot track conditions, the fact that he's been able to punch out his PB of the race, the fastest lap of the race, and also, of course, stretch the tank to 25 laps when nobody else has got anywhere near that, or not even entertained the idea of going anywhere near that, it just speaks volumes of the skill set. But that's why he does what he does. That's why he's a professional in the Supercars Championship in the real world. And he's giving everybody a little bit of an education here tonight in the sim world. It's fantastic to watch.
Yeah. And for these guys that are caught up in this battle pack, Tyson just driven a reasonable race to this point as well. Relatively quiet, which he'll be looking for a big result of this one. This is a big statement from him drive, so he'll want to make sure that he locks on to the end of this one. But with 8 laps to go and Sapstead and Warboys right there, you just wonder if he's not a touch vulnerable at the back end of this stint. Tom Freer just ahead is the Synergy looking Gatorade car. Come on. I just want to Sapstead is probably just going to have a go here. He's arrived on scene. He's pressured him, trying to show him he's not going to, and there's the nose at the back end of it. Gets to the inside, significantly alongside. He'll sneak on through. Watch Warboys. Warboys are going straight through, and Hodge was out on the marbles and on the off-camera section of the racetrack. 2 spots in one corner. Ty Hodge loses.
so quickly, the floodgates can open. We haven't seen too much of that in the last couple of laps, have we? It's been pretty processional and tame. But now that we're getting towards that business end, the whips are cracking. 8 laps to go, becomes 7 at the line. Surely this is the lap in which Brody Kostecki makes his way to pit lane.
Just quiet,
Yep.
calm,
Here we go.
chilled out, light on in terms of fuel usage, 25 laps maximum distance. And Brody Kostecki can go into this race. Final pit stop of the night will be Richard Hampstead that we watch and wait for at this point in time. Is he expected into the box at the end of this one?
Surely this is the last lap for pit stops. Surely that tank is on fumes right now. Thomas McMillan's going to come through. We're going to get an indication as to whether the undercut or the overcut has worked here better. Brody Kostecki's on pit lane still. Here's McMillan across the line. Got a shout out to give in just a moment as well, and it's in relation to the car sitting corrected order 5th at the moment. Hampstead to pit lane, field is cleansed. On we go. Whoa, hey, here we go. Side by side, the 2 teammates up Mountain Straight. And this will be very interesting, Scott, because really, Kostecki's on the wrong side of the road when we get to Griffins, and if he's gone with fresh rubber, he's on the colder set of tyres as well, and he tucks in behind McMillan as a result.
Yeah, McMillan covers him to the inside of the road as well. He wasn't giving him any opportunity to slide back down the inside. But the problem will be from here, 4 laps difference in terms of the tyres, and there's no margin between the pair of them. 4 seconds shorter through pit lane. Sorry, my apologies. 3 seconds shorter through pit lane for Brody. So it'll be 3.5. And right now, look, it's going to be difficult. I reckon Kostecki might just do him a favour, because remember, this is golden ticket worthy. And
exactly.
The difference in this one will be, what does Brody want from tonight? Does he want that golden ticket? What will that mean to McMillan? They say they don't play the team game. Well, they definitely do. Yeah. It's just not a mega game over there. They're all smart about the way that they race each other.
And you said it, the winner of the co-driver clash last year rejected the golden ticket. So, I reckon it would have been a similar situation had it been offered to Brody Kostecki. But at least the same can't be said for his teammate. And I was about to make the same point. You and I were telepathically aligned there, I think, Scotty Rankin, because I think it means so much more to McMillan, whereas Kostecki will come out of this with a good setup, a good game plan, good miles under his belt, ready for Sunday. He'll be thinking bigger picture, completing the treble of the Enduro Cup, sealing that with Jared Filsell, and of course at the same time getting Filsell home as far as the overall 12-round championship is concerned as well. Here's Kostecki to the outside. Now there might just be a little bit of showmanship going on here. The 2 teammates entertaining us here in central commentary, although Kostecki around the outside. What the hell? What? Don't have each other off. Teammates.
Don't have each other off, boys. Oh, now he's going to elbow him into the grass.
What is going on here?
They've got an 8-second margin. If they keep that up, the margin's going to go running away. Oh, no. Gee, there'll be words. There'll be words being exchanged right now. Have fun, boys, but don't have each other off. Oh, he's into the back bar.
Oh, no. There'll be a redress here, surely. Yep, they get out of it. They're having a bit too much fun now, I think, with this. Or maybe there is no loss between the 2 teammates. Maybe it was a case of we'll be friendly until a point, and then once we're through the pit lane, then we'll worry about it. But this is the beneficiary. This guy's the beneficiary, Rehan Leonage.
Well, now they've got to get on with it, because they've just cost each other so much time. They're going to have Leonage hand over fist in terms of tyre life. But check this bomb out from Kostecki. Gee, down the inside. Wow. He barely makes the apex onto the marbles. Well, at least the boys are having fun. Can't say they didn't.
McMillan scraped the wall.
They didn't leave anything on the table.
We said they wouldn't. We said they wouldn't. This is fantastic stuff. And there's still another 5 laps of this to go when they get back to the line. Hold your breath, Australia. Another 31 kilometres of this. Now the defence work starts to the elbow as well. Kostecki with his nose in front. McMillan will get the slipstream down Conrad, but how effective will it be?
Well, the margin. Have a look at the margin in the rearview mirror. At the start of the lap, the margin from car number 55 of McMillan back to the 22 of Leonage was 8.7 seconds. Guess what? It's under 3.5. They've cost themselves about 5 seconds. He's going to nearly have a lot of Kostecki again. Are you kidding me? Come on, boys. Smart. Be smart with it.
Well, these are race car drivers, Scott. Sometimes that's not an option. Even though, down into Murray's, side by side. Hold your breath. There's nothing in that hair's breadth.
Oh, now he crosses his nose over and covers him.
It's going to the outside at 1.
They're having a bit of fun with each other at the end of the day, but it's still good watching. And have a look at Leonage in the back end of the shot now. He'll just be looking at Mount Straight, looking at these two, having it on with each other. Now they're banging panels. Kostecki's going to squeeze him at the hump. They rub panels a couple more times into the braking zone now with Griffins. A touch at the wrong point of time. This is the best in the country. So you know that they know how to handle things. You know that they know not to make contact. But they also want to have a bit of fun. Another send for Kostecki from outer space. Leonage is on the scene. Leonage is only a second in behind these guys now. Now it's time to quit the funny games and get on with the motor race, boys.
Exactly. Kostecki across the top is going to lead them through, but look at Rehan Leonage now. From out of the clouds, the 22's in the mix. Bradley Ratu's another 2 seconds down the road. You can't pass at the top of McPhillamy. We've seen that before. Kostecki now sits second. So now he's in there playing rear guard to McMillan. Will he defend for McMillan and keep Rehan Leonage at bay? Is that the role that he's got to play at this particular point? As we said, the golden ticket doesn't mean anywhere near as much to him as it would to young Thomas McMillan. And it would mean another Wobbs Esports entry on the grid, you would imagine, in next year's championship. Theoretically speaking. There's a long way to go between now and March, of course, but they'd love to see Thomas McMillan in there for all 12 rounds next year, I'm sure. He's still got to survive the onslaught from his teammate and potentially Rehan Leonage for another 4 laps. Kostecki to the outside at the chase.
Okay, all right. This has been a little bit too far now because now they've cost each other 8 seconds because here it comes from Rehan Leonage. Tell you what, Leonage would absolutely love a free ticket into next year. He's sick of being the co-driver. He'd love to qualify his way in. Kostecki's going to rub him, bang doors, bang panels. They're leaning on each other into the braking zone. And Leonage arrives on the scene. It's a 3-way battle now for 1 golden ticket. And as they run off and up Mountain Straight, it's been a little bit more than ridiculous. You just think the car park afterwards, what are the words that are going to be exchanged? And Leonage is just not even getting involved in it. He's going to jump all the way across the left-hand side of the road and look to swoop in nicely.
He's there now.
Mate, if I'm in Leonage's shoes, they've been rubbing paint. Time for me to get involved.
Exactly. Well, you wouldn't want to get involved. You wouldn't want to run the risk of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if you can be in the right place at the right time and watch them bowl it wide, then all of a sudden Leonage might have the doors just open partly for him to squeeze on through, unimpeded. That's the risk they're running at the moment. And they'd be aware of Leonage's presence now. The team would be in their ear saying, you're under assault. You've got 1 and 2 more willing to latch on. One of whom is Ryan O'Sullivan. He's Paul is watching this at the moment. He said, I'll be watching on Sunday from the Maldives. What a nice backdrop to be watching about this 1000 from, just quietly. Yeah, Harvey's like, good on you, Paul.
You know, the radio message that probably got sent back would be, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. Leave me to it.
Oh, no, does he really?
He's going to elbow him wide at the elbow, and they are going to be 3 wide here. And now Leonage is going to give Kostecki a good old touch-up just for it. I think it's carried on a little bit too far, and now they're going to have to pay for it. They're going to come down to Conrod. 3.5 laps left to run. The fastest corner in Australian motor racing, and throw a blanket over the top 3. 1 golden ticket. The aggression levels are going to go off. Kostecki elbows him wide. He was 2 wheels in the dirt there for half a moment. Leonage is going to skate on through. Don't you dare do it. Kostecki's running wide. There'll be a slowdown penalty with the rejoin. Slides it out the other side. And now is Leonage going to go sailing down and around the outside. McMillan back to the lead, but it's only for a few moments. And throw a blanket over 5 cars in the co-driver clash. This is where it kicks off on your Bathurst 1000 week. Boys, Boys, no more. I can't take it.
3 laps to go. 4 different teams in the top 5. The field being headed by the 2 Lobs Esports stables as it has been since turn 1 of lap 1. And now look at Ratu up on the outside of Leonage. Up over the crest on Mountain Straight. He moved back to the inside. Now he's going to get across and defend O'Sullivan as well. 3 wide for third. But Leonage has all of a sudden lost contact with the Lobs Esports stable. Is Kostecki willing to sit in there in second? Now that they've almost pushed it too far, now that they've almost stolen defeat from the jaws of victory and cost the team a 1-2, do they toe the line for the next 2.5 laps or not? Probably not. This is Bathurst. This is a co-driver race. Nothing matters here except the golden ticket for next year. But surely they'd prefer that to go to someone in their stable than the 3 gentlemen sitting behind them, ready to just pounce on it if the opportunity is presented to itself. And all of a sudden, Scott, what was something that was shaping up to be somewhat tame and processional has livened up in just unimaginable ways. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the co-driver clash. This is why we do it.
And we had 5 cars battling at the end of the 1000 this time last year.
Well, the other side of this coin is, when do the stewards get involved?
Well, yeah, I was thinking the same thing as well. Oh, trouble. Was there a car on the grass there halfway down Conrod? Yes, it was. It was Ratu. Ratu was wide on the exit of Forest's elbow. You'll probably see it again on the OG gear replay, but Ratu's lost 4th to O'Sullivan. I think you're right, though. I think the stewards might have a look at that. You're right. Oh, he hit the wall Dick Johnson style on the exit of Forest.
Yeah, dragging himself into the grass, but the stewards will just be watching along. They're just thinking, where in all this? I mean, if it wasn't teammates, you'd have said something by now. Something would have been said. They got into the rear bar of each other, and now McMillan's sliding the rear tyres as they get off the final corner. 2 more laps, 12 Ks, 12.4 Ks. Kostecki to the lead, covers to the inside of the road, and Leonage just goes straight on through. Kostecki's now back to 3rd, and O'Sullivan's going to have a go at him as well. Gets blocked all the way to the grass on the left-hand side of the road. Now they're 2 wide for 3rd and 4th as well. Leonage was miles out of this one. It was 9 seconds at one point. Now he's challenging for a race lead. McMillan's going to have to defend for his life, and Ratsu's back in the mix of this one too.
Oh, wowee. And now watch Kostecki on the outside of the cutting. Kostecki on the outside of the cutting. He's going to have a look on Leonage as he... Oh, he scrapes the wall. O'Sullivan squeezes through on the inside, and all of a sudden, O'Sullivan, who teams up with Ethan Green-Gold on Sunday, is staring down a podium.
Yeah, they can look, have fun with it, but maybe take it to the final couple of laps before you do what they did. I don't know why they played around with it that early in the race. If they wanted to do that last 2 laps, no problem. Lock it in.
Yeah. And now it's 6, Scott. And now it's 6.
Wide.
Yeah.
McMillan just went really, really wide.
Josh Horton has latched on to 6th as well, to the top 5. So we've now got active battles for the top 6. And all of a sudden, Bradley Ratu's under assault for the last spot in the top 5. Oh, down the inside, gone.
That'll be a penalty. That'll be a penalty for sure. That'll absolutely be a penalty. Now it gets into Ratu as well, and Kostecki's just about on the fence. Now it's going to be Ryan O'Sullivan who skates on through, who goes in pursuit of Thomas McMillan. Leonage has effectively been done out of this one with the bomb from Kostecki. Now Horton's going to have a crack, because why wouldn't you? Do you think you've got enough wheel underneath you for Josh Horton? 1 more lap at the conclusion of this one. 6.2 Ks. Co-driver clash. Ryan O'Sullivan is on scene. And this is just obscene.
This is ridiculous. Oh, spinner at the elbow. That's the number 15 entry, is it? No, sorry, the car in 15th, I should say.
72. Of Ewan Baker, that one will be. Co-driver for Adam Briggs. White flag in the air. 1 more lap. Co-driver clash.
Oh! In the wall almost. Ratu and Kostecki. Kostecki squeezing to 1. Ratu! Oh, that's ugly. There might be a little bit of overtime being done in race control after this one, Scott. It's got to that point now where I think they're going to get involved. They probably wouldn't have wanted to. They've probably just sat back and enjoyed the spectacle like we all have, but now it's got a little bit silly. Leonage has been done out of a potential race win, but Ryan O'Sullivan is the man that can give chase here to Thomas McMillan and put himself on the top of the summit, put Evolution Racing on top of the summit, and anoint himself as the first hero of Race Week 2025.
Well, Coach Over Clash last year delivered to open up Bathurst 1000 week, and in 2025, it's no different. But McMillan has just got to cover himself. He's got a 7/10 of a second margin at the midpoint of the lap. It's going to take a monstrous effort or a mistake, but he made a mistake this time. Last lap, got his car out and into the weeds. But there's a little bit left in terms of things for McMillan on the table this time by. It's not all the way to the edge of the grip of the car. There was an attitude with it down through the S's. The rear end was not compliant, so just don't think this one is over. It'll take a great exit off the elbow. If he can pull it up nice and accurately, he should be okay.
And he's done just that. McMillan in the box seat now. He's got to repeat what he did there. He's got to pull it up nicely, get it out of the chase cleanly. O'Sullivan's a little bit too far back to benefit from any potential slipstream opportunity here. But what a charge nonetheless in the stint home. 6th at one point, 5th, 4th. Worked his way back up to position number 2. You have to feel for Rehan Leonage though, but that's Bathurst. She can be a cruel beast. Bring us home, Scotty.
Final corner, the run down to Murray's to finish off the co-driver clash. And it's going to be Thomas McMillan out of the final corner. This is a huge statement. Can he go back-to-back with teammate Luke Rosella from the mountain? But what a co-driver clash. McMillan gets himself a golden ticket for 2026. Ryan O'Sullivan to second, Leonage to third, and this battle deeper in the field, Sapstead, Warboys, and Tom Freer have a cracker.
And really, we didn't get to focus on the battle towards the back end because of the way that everything exploded up front. What about that for Thomas McMillan? Probably the right result in the end, but probably... Oh, there's a car parked on the exit of the chase on the final lap. Now the celebrations begin. The Lobs Esports stable, they picked up where they left off essentially this time last year, didn't they? They dominated the Bathurst 1000 last year, and they're looking to do the same again in 2025, Scotty Rankin. That was electric towards the end, obviously plagued by technical issues in the middle, but at least we got there. McMillan, O'Sullivan, Leonage, Horton. Hey, Horton, what a great drive in the end. Got by both Kostecki and Ratu towards the back end of the race. There was looking a comfortable 6th at one point, has ended up 4th. Rehan Leonage was looking like it could be a 2nd or a 1st. It's ended up 3rd, which is where he was at the end of the pit sequence anyway. And here's the replay of what happened to the Sim Rigs entry. Oh, straight through. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yes. The 29 has decided that we can't jump these days, but we're going to try it anyway. And it's ended up like the Vault Man, Brian Meeker, all those years ago on the wide world of sports.
Oh, Thomas McMillan gets it done from Ryan O'Sullivan. Leonage to third. He will be disappointed with that one. There's not much more he could have done about that. Brad Ratsu, who's in a 6-way fight for the top 6. Tom Freer, Will Sapstead, Blake Warboys, and Rain Campbell had a brilliant stoush, by the way, for 7th through the back end of the top 10. That battle was actually really, really interesting to watch and was a really good opportunity to witness what those guys will be capable of come Sunday there, Caben.
Indeed it will be, and I want to ask you about that in just a moment as well. Let's look outside the top 10. Leo Duncan, Tice Hodge, Russell Pepperell, then Daniel Hall. So good to see our mate there in the top 15, maintaining somewhat the position that he had at the start of the night. Scott Mackay, good recovery. Brad Newman, of course, bundled out of qualifying, did Scott Mackay. Brad Newman there for 16th, Oisin Colangelo, Ewan Baker, and then Billy Mole and Ian Zhu. Ian was unlucky in the end there, ended up well out of the placings. Richard Hampstead, Ben Tyson Williams, Cody Bircher. So here's a couple of the storylines that we completely missed. I didn't even realise that Bircher had parked up. Marcelo Rivera, Ruben Goodall, Brody Sensons, Oscar Target, of course, it all ended very, very early for them, and Bo Albert even a non-starter. So we'll see those guys again line up and look for some sort of redemption on Saturday and Sunday. But the first bragging rights of race week go to the Lobs Esports stable, who have dominated the True Force Enduro Cup aspect of this campaign so far. We could talk all night at nauseum, Scotty, about who impressed us tonight. We could talk about the drama towards the end of the night, but who now goes back to the drawing board out of the retirements and the guys that didn't necessarily finish inside the top 10 didn't fire tonight? Who goes back to the drawing board as far as you're concerned? Who can we expect better things from on Sunday?
Well, McMillan, I sort of had parked there, and I was like, oh, he'll do fine. He'll certainly be there. But, you know, that was definitely a little bit better than a he'll just be there sort of drive. Admittedly, race win, I don't necessarily think he was the best car today, but, you know, at the same time, the race win's there, and that's all that gets paid out at the end of the day. But I think quite critically is have a look at car number 7. I think a little bit gimped in terms of strategy. I think Ryan made the wrong move in terms of how long he stayed out then, and it certainly cost him a massive amount of track position. But there's quite a number of co-drivers that have got a fair bit of... Triple 2 car looked absolutely brilliant. So Vermillion will be sitting there chomping away at things and going, we're actually quite happy. And Rayhan will be sitting there and going, gee, I wish my qualifying was a fair bit better, because his race pace was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And he is a consistent performer. He proved that last year. We'll see him on Sunday. He'll be there when the whips are cracking. Unfortunately, as you say, so much of that was dictated by the outcome of qualifying, but also not lost on anybody. The squabbling that spread the field out in the early part of the race, the first few laps, they were defining moments. So Rehan Leonage, better running qualifying, obviously good race strategy on Sunday. They'll be right in this at the back end of 161 laps. Josh Horton, also a good fight back. And I'll be interested to see the battle down towards the back end of the top 10 there. Sapstead, Warboys and Campbell, they kept one another company for much of the night as well with Tom Freer. So a lot of the main game drivers would have been sitting there enjoying the absolute life out of that one. They would have been enjoying particularly the closing stages where the gloves were off. Although I reckon, Scotty, as we get into the post-race show here and have a chat with Tommy McMillan, our race winner, I reckon there would have been a couple of nervous moments for those within the Lobs Esports stable.
Yeah, well, we're going to get the opportunity to have a chat to the man who has got himself a golden ticket for next year. Whether or not he wants to take it up, that is his decision. But Mr. McMillan, from last year's Bathurst 1000 performance called in at the 11th hour to this year's co-driver clash and the victory, mate, you look like you had a fair bit of fun there with good mate Kostecki.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Brody's never gonna give you much, mate. Like, if anything, he's going to race his teammates harder, and he really made me work for it. And with Rehan and Ryan O'Sullivan coming in at the end there, man, the pressure was on. That was a hard race, that.
Mate, in terms of how good that car number 55 is looking, I was talking to Mr. Rosella. I've just been, back and forth with him just a little bit this week, and he said, we're feeling quite confident, but we're going to have to come from the rear of the grid. So there's a lot of work to do for you guys, which probably puts a fair bit of weight on your shoulders. But at the same time, came from the back at Phillip Island, came from the back at Sandown. At this point, you guys are used to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a hindrance, and being Bathurst, it's not wide open. It's technically a street circuit. So if anything does happen in front of us, it's going to be difficult to avoid. But I've got confidence me and Luke can do it. We've both got good pace, and it's a long race. We don't need to push too hard and pass too many people too quickly. So there'll be safety cars, and we'll see what we can do and get our final ticket to the end there.
Most importantly, I think the biggest vote of confidence heading into Bathurst 1000 Sunday, mate, how good was that start? When you ran down to turn 1 and you're alongside and pulling, potentially challenging for the lead heading into turn number 1, when everyone else around you's failed to get off the line remotely well, that's a big confidence call heading into Sunday. Does this mean that you get to talk to Luke and say, hey, I want to start the car now? Yeah, we've got proof.
Yeah, it depends. It's very flexible for Luke and I because we're probably around the same pace. So we're very flexible strategy-wise. So it doesn't matter too much who starts. But yeah, I like to tease the boys a bit and just say I'm the best starter in the V8. But I think I may have proved myself just there. But yeah, that was a good start.
Oh, mate. Well, look, there's only one thing to say. Are you going to take the golden ticket for 2026? And are we going to see you in the main game next year?
Absolutely. I'll see you there. Good boy.
Well, Thomas McMillan's going to be challenging us next year. Tom, the floor is yours, mate. Who would you like to give a thank you to?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank all the boys from Lobs. Brody for not crashing me out. We had a hard but fair race. Just Jared, Luke, Gilliam, all those boys helping in the background. Whitey's Pies, they make the best pies in Australia. They are amazing. I recommend everyone to go to Whitey's Pies and get a pie.
Whereabouts in the world is that? Just out of curiosity, for those that don't know.
It is in Orange, New South Wales.
Oh, lovely part of the world. I'll be back out there for the New South Wales Karting Championships next year, Tom. So I'm going to take that recommendation from you.
Absolutely. Make sure you take a photo of you out front of the shop with the pie and post it on the page.
I was gonna say, do we tell them T-Mac sent you?
Yeah, do it. Yep.
Correct. I'll make sure I do that, Scott, before I start eating it. That way, it's not making a mess of either the pie or me, quite frankly. Tommy, well done, mate. Congratulations, and bodes well for Sunday. It's a psychological blow to the rest of the paddock, the way that you've started this week, mate.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it for the 1000. Start from the back and see how we go.
Mate, congratulations. Enjoy. Head off and have some fun with the boys. Although I think you guys had a fair bit of fun out on the racetrack as well.
We sure did. Thanks, boys.
Righto, that is kicking us off here for Bathurst 1000 week, but that is only the start. The racing action doesn't pick up again now until Friday, but that doesn't mean we've not got more coming your way tomorrow. The 2025 Logitech V8 Pro Invitational has also brought the Paddock podcast with it, and tomorrow night that also introduces the first ever members of the Australian Sim Racing Group Hall of Fame. 3 recipients that are wholeheartedly deserving of everything that they are going to receive tomorrow, and it'll be a night where we not only spice things up, get a little bit of insight into the drivers, but a night where we say thank you to so many members of the community that have given so much over such a long period of time. That's what we've got on board for you tomorrow night. That kicks off from 8 p.m. And Zach, just to make sure, it's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Times, mate. We got that one on the graphic there for you. You can't get it confused.
All the way down that timetable, Scotty. Well played.
Then on your Friday night, it is championship finale time. The Gamesman GT Pro Invitational. It is coming to you live from the mountain, 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time for that one, for the live footage. It is going to be Eclipse Sim Sports looking to lock out the title. Can they take P1 and P2? P1 all but confirmed. They're just going to finish the race on Friday night. But who is going to take P2 is the big decider. 3-way challenge with Elite Esports of Vermilion. Who is going to stand atop the pile on that one? Then on your Saturday, it's on to the qualifying and shootout. 30-minute qualifying session will set the field, all but the top 15, who will get their opportunity where the mountain goes silent. 1 lap, 1 opportunity, 1 man, 1 car. That is what sets apart the best from the rest. In the V8 Pro shootout on Saturday night, support series though, we get an opportunity to have some Porsche Cup cars come and join us on your Saturday night coverage as well. Then it's the big one. Sunday, the 23rd of November. The Logitech True Force Endurance Cup brings itself to a crescendo. Why? Because we have got 1,000 kilometers worth of racing action with coverage to start from 11 a.m. on race Sunday. Do not miss a minute of it. And Zach, anything more to say after that one? Because I think I'm going to need to take the voice box in for a service before Sunday.
Yep, absolutely. You had to do a lot of the heavy lifting tonight, mate, because unfortunately I had that tech issue partway through, but hopefully no more of them for the rest of the week. Looking forward to teaming up with you on Friday night, of course, the Gamesman GT Pro Invitational finale. Looking forward to 3 hours of GT3 racing around here. And of course, then back with you guys on Sunday. Hopefully, our good mate Stephen Sandman Clark is back firing on all cylinders. Well, 7 of the 8 at least on Saturday night and all 8 on Sunday. Don't forget too, Scotty, massive day Sunday. I would encourage anyone that's planning to sit themselves on the lounge from 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Western, 1 o'clock in New Zealand, right, to do so with 3 screens handy. 1 for us, 1 for the Ashes, Australia and England, the third day's play at the Optus Stadium in Perth. Then, of course, over to Las Vegas for Formula One with lights out there at 3 o'clock too. So Sunday is a massive day for fans of all different sports. Sim racing, real racing, cricket, you name it, we've got it. We'll go around the grounds and keep you updated on Sunday, but we're looking forward to it nonetheless. So, look, if that sets the standard for what we're in for, I think it'll be a little bit tamer on Sunday because everyone will be thinking big picture, 161 laps, not 32. There's also championship implications, Enduro Cup implications, all that sort of stuff. So that was good tonight, and probably in the end we got the right result. Yep, Rehan Leonage will feel a little bit aggrieved with the way it ended for him Rhino, Sullivan, Mega to get back to second after losing out at the start 2 spots early on. But yeah, Tommy McMillan, looking forward to seeing if he can back that up with the 55 on Sunday. But again, the 94 will be tough to beat. Kostecki had nothing to lose tonight. We probably know that he's only going to be a co-driver regular next season, given his real-world commitments. So he could afford to throw caution to the wind there. It nearly cost his teammate. I reckon he's breathing a sigh of relief that it didn't. And now, of course, we turn our attention to Sunday. Can they sweep the Enduros, seal the championship for Jared Filsell as well? All those questions will be answered. Will we have weather? That I'm interested in getting an answer to as well, mate. As always, Bathurst, as John Hindhoff says, delivered. And it was great to step in for Sam Mann tonight. Sad for the reasons in which we had to do it, but looking forward to, of course, teaming up with the pair of you again on Sunday. And, of course, you and I, well, we're getting far too well acquainted with each other's company this week because I'll see you Friday night as well, mate. Magnificent to work with you as always.
Yeah, same as well. The only question I've got before we go is Weatherald or Labuschagne. Don't give me why, just tell me who and why. Just tell me who.
Look, Weatherald. I mean, if you're gonna have Boland and you're gonna have a couple of inexperienced bowlers, why not throw caution to the wind and go with a couple of inexperienced batters as well? Just blood them and see if it works. Because at the end of the day, Perth is favourable to the Australians, mates. So I think they'll go Labuschagne just for continuity, but I'd like to see a little bit of change there as well. If they've got to do it with the bowlers, why not do it with the batters?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us tonight. We will see you tomorrow night for the Paddock Podcast and the Hall of Fame, and then on to Friday for GT Pro. See you all then.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.